WTN, Hendersonville, Nashville.
From the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studio, Super Talk 99.7.
Good morning and happy President's Day. It's 5 a.m. I'm Jay Harper in for Joan Jones, and I've got your top stories. One of the big top stories here in a couple of days. It appears we may be in for a big weather change. We'll have that information for you with our weather forecast coming up here in a little bit. The Department of Government Efficiency continues to cut back on federal personnel. We now turn to ABC's Nicole D'Antonio with more on that story.
Recent firings include about 700 people at the CDC, along with 13 immigration judges in training who were about to be sworn in. It comes as a first test of the administration's power to fire federal workers reaches the Supreme Court, asking the justices to dissolve a 14-day restraining order against the president's move to fire the head of the Office of Special Counsel. The Supreme Court is expected to weigh in this week.
Moving a little more locally here, parts of Kentucky hard hit by a winter storm that caused rivers and creeks to rise well beyond what was expected. The flooding has led to the deaths of 9 people in Kentucky. Hundreds of water rescues have been reported, along with road closures and power outages throughout the state. In the city of Hazard, Kentucky, the utility company has told customers to conserve water and has issued a water boil advisory. Hazard's mayor, Donald Mobilini, concerned for the next few days as colder temperatures move in.
Not only was it 64 degrees last night, we're getting ready to expect 3 to 7 inches of snow. It could be at any time.
Kentucky's Governor Andy Beshear said many of the flood-related deaths were caused by cars that got stuck in high water. Among those killed were a mother and a 7-year-old child. Back here in Nashville, Channel 4 reports a man was arrested early this morning, accused of firing a rifle inside a home in the Two Rivers area. That's according to Metro Nashville Police. Metro said the SWAT team was called in after officers heard one shot fired from inside the home. A woman and a young child were inside that house at the time, and police, though, said neither were injured. Investigators say this all started after the woman's family called police for a welfare check, and when police got there, they said they were confronted by the woman's husband, who had a rifle. Officers retreated behind their cars for cover. That's when they heard the shot fired. After the SWAT team was called in, police obtained a couple of warrants for aggravated assault for the woman's husband, and he refused to surrender. It was about 3 o'clock this morning that the SWAT team was able to get inside the home and arrest the man. He's charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault. They have not named this man as of yet. Well, the Market Numbers Report is brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. You can find them online at beaconcm.com. However, the stock market closed today for President's Day. That is the latest news. We've got traffic and an interesting weather forecast coming up. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. On this President's Day morning, it is smooth sailing for those of you that have to get into the Metro Nashville area this morning. No accidents or breakdowns to report thus far. With traffic every 10 minutes every morning, you've got it on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We are live on President's Day. How are you, friends? Super text line is open 615-737-9986. That train wreck of a weathercast. I don't know what that was. We were trying to, I guess, fix the weathercast because there were some issues with it. Let's go straight to the source. Let's go to Jay Harper.
Yes,
Jay,
Dan.
for the love of all that is holy, can you give us an actual weather forecast as opposed to what we got from our weather partners? So
Yep.
we have, I guess, is it 3 to 5 inches of possible accumulation? It's going to begin on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning.
Yeah, that's the threat, Dan. The first snow showers expected to arrive tomorrow evening. Well, at least in far northwest middle Tennessee and parts of southern Kentucky. And then later on, Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, 1 to 2 inches expected across most of our area. But you go up toward Clarksville in that area, they could get, as much as 4 inches. So,
okay.
Yeah, it looks a little interesting. We'll just kind of have to do that wait and see thing.
Listen, go to Kroger, get your milk, get your bread, get all that stuff, and just be ready.
Yeah, get your beer, hit the liquor store.
Sure, absolutely. By the way, I don't know if you know this, Jay, but it is not my President's Day. Did you know that?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that does not surprise me.
So apparently today, the resistance is going to be out in here in Nashville. It is the President's Day protest out at the Tennessee State Capitol at noon. I'm sure that'll be a raucous event.
Oh,
so,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I need?
Too bad it won't snow on them today.
I need the little crickets sound effect. Do you know what I mean? Because are people really going to show up to this? You know, they had some of these protests in Washington, D.C., and it was actually too cold for them. So they all went home. So I don't know. We'll see if anybody shows up to the Not My President protest out at the Tennessee State Capitol today at 12 o'clock. I'm going to have Jack Johnson on later on today. I'm going to ask him if they've got additional security, if they're ready for the onslaught of Not My President's Day protest out at the Capitol building. Thank you, KGB. All right. So, by the way, Joan has the day off today. She'll be back on, I believe, Jay, is she back on Tuesday?
Yeah, I suppose so. I know I'm not here tomorrow unless somebody else is filling in for her.
You notice Joan knew how much of a raucous news day it was going to be with the Not My President protest out at the state capitol. That's why she took the day off.
Yeah,
she didn't want to deal with all the insanity of the half dozen people that are probably going to show up.
Right. She's got a nose for news, and she just didn't want to deal with the income.
In all seriousness, there may be a significant number of people down there. I really don't know. You've got Justin Jones. You've got Gloria Johnson, Glojo. You've got Justin Pearson. And you've got all of the Democrats down there, and they've got their minions that come out, and they do their thing that they do, whenever they want to go out and protest. That's what they do. So they'll come out, they'll do their thing. Here's what you're going to see on the news tonight. Then I promise I'm going to cover something more important. But here's what we're going to see on the news tonight. You're going to have all of the local news people. Jay, you know how this works. All the local news channels will be out there, and they'll have the chants, they'll have the signs, they'll have the protests. Not my president, orange man bad, blah, 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 blah. Elon Musk was not elected. You know, all of the insanity
that stuff,
that we're going to see. And whatever. Listen, that is their right. I'm sure that they got a permit and they did all the right things for the Not My President protest here on President's Day. Meantime, there's a lot of good that is happening from my president and for a lot of you folks, President Donald Trump. There is a lot going on. He was at the Daytona 500. Now, that was very cool in the sense that he took the beast around the track. So he had that. He gave an interview. He shook hands with a bunch of military folks. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more as the morning continues. By the way, Doge continues to rip through Washington, D.C., including there is another post that they have found. Now, for people that are saying, well, there's no proof of what they're actually finding and accomplishing, well, there actually is. Do you know what they found over the weekend? They posted 121,000 people over the age of 160 years old that are collecting Social Security. Yep. They have found thousands of people well over the age of 100 years old. These are all people that are collecting Social Security. Most of them are dead. So you've got that out there. You've also got Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy posting that Donald Trump is looking for him to update and upgrade our air traffic control system. That is going to be going on today. Elon Musk is going to be touring the air traffic control system to see what he can do to help. I think Elon Musk is the perfect guy for that. Elon Musk and SpaceX and all the other things that he's got going on, absolutely. Elon Musk is the guy for the job. But Duffy said, Secretary of Transportation Duffy says that if any company is willing to come on out and help upgrade and update our air traffic control system, they need to speak up because he wants the process to be open and transparent, which makes all the sense in the world. Donald Trump just wants the air traffic control system to be fixed. So that is something else that Trump wants to do. And it makes all the sense in the world. We'll have to see how easily it's done because this has been a system, as you folks probably know, the air traffic control system has been ignored since the 1980s. I mean, this is really, really old software and it is old equipment. And we also know that there is a shortage of air traffic controllers out there. Speaking of shortages, watch us on YouTube. A guy, my buddy Kevin, on social media, he is asking me to comment on this story where the state of Tennessee, Mike Sparks, our friend Representative Mike Sparks, he wants to lower the age of bus drivers from the age of 25 down to the age of 21. Now, there's some people that are freaking out about this, including my friend Kevin on social media. Now, I can make the argument both ways. I will tell you that what we have done, watch us on YouTube, like us and subscribe to the channel. Watch us on YouTube. You can also watch us on Facebook and X and download all the podcasts and listen and all that kind of stuff. But take the Daily Dan poll. The Daily Dan poll this morning is, should the state of Tennessee lower the age of bus drivers? Right now, it is 25. The minimum age for a bus driver is 25. Should that be lowered to the age of 21? Now, a lot of people will tell you that if somebody can be drafted, then they should also be able to drive a bus. And I do understand that. There's a lot of pros and cons out there, but I want to know what you think. Take the Daily Dan poll, watch us on YouTube, and take the poll right now. KGB, who is monitoring the numbers, what do the good people of Middle Tennessee have to say?
Right now, it's 65% at no to a 35% yes. It started out high for yes, but it looks like the no's have taken over, and it's actually continuing to rise. 67 now, 68 to
Can
no.
you imagine? Can you imagine I'm just going to say it because I'm a sexist, apparently, probably. But if I'm a sexist against, my own gender, then fine. Can you imagine a 21-year-old bus driving man with a bunch of 16 and 17-year-old female bus riders? Can you imagine that? But it's the same thing. I won't be sexist. Okay, so what about a 21-year-old female bus driver and a bunch of 16, 17-year-old hormone-ridden teenagers? But I think it's a legitimate comment to make. It is a legitimate comment to make where it's like, okay, you know what? So here's the thing. If you can be drafted, then you should be allowed to drive a school bus. There is some training that is involved in driving a school bus, and we'll get into some of that. 5:16. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Yeah, Dan, we are still looking mighty fine on area roadways, and I'm sure that has a lot to do with it being President's Day. So many folks are taking the day off. So with that, smooth sailing for those of you that do have to get into the metro. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much, 5:16. As far as your weather goes, it's going to be a little dicey in the next couple of days. You've got snow coming in on Tuesday night. It looks like it's going to snow Tuesday night into Wednesday. It looks like about noon, and we are looking at some accumulations. Some places 3 to 5 inches. We really don't know, won't know for a while, but we'll of course keep you updated on that because it does look like there will be some pretty decent accumulations across Middle Tennessee. Now, several middle state school districts are short dozens of bus drivers. Here's the thing. We can I'm going to argue with myself, just so you know, I'm giving all of the points because I don't really feel strongly about this either way. But you got a bunch of openings. We are in a big-time shortage of school bus drivers. And so that's why Sparks wants to lower the age. Several mid-state school districts are short dozens of bus drivers. Now, one state lawmaker has filed a bill he hopes is going to fix all that. It would lower that minimum age for school bus drivers. Mike Sparks again says, we will allow 18-year-olds to go into the military. I think we should be able to drive a bus to 21. Currently, we are one of the most restrictive states in the nation. It would be a reversal of a state law that passed in 2017. I remember this. I bet you a lot of you folks remember this as well. Back in 2017, they raised the minimum wage because there was that horrific bus crash. Remember this? The 24-year-old school bus driver crashed a bus in Chattanooga, resulting in the death of 6 elementary school students. It was horrible. And so Sparks saying, though, in light of all of that, I am sure I voted for that piece of legislation because it was a very emotional issue at the time. However, listen to these shortages. Metro Nashville Public Schools, they are short 86 drivers. Clarksville, Montgomery County Schools, they are short 50. Williamson County Schools, they have 29 vacancies. Wilson County Schools said they want to hire 10 to 15 more drivers. Here's the other thing, and I don't know why I didn't notice this or know this, but I do now. Did you know that you can't actually rent a car until you're 25? Do you know that, KGB?
I did, yes.
Okay. Why didn't I know that?
I don't know, but I remember specifically when I turned 25, my parents were like, hey, you can rent a car now.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't rent a car until you're 25. So that would be a knock against allowing a 21-year-old to drive a school bus. Most bus drivers earn between $29,000 and $44,000 a year. To become a school bus driver in the state of Tennessee, you need a CDL with a passenger endorsement, state-approved training, and a clean background check. Training classes typically cover school bus operation, traffic laws, student management, and emergency procedures. Do you know, I think the reason why there's a school bus driver shortage isn't because of the age restriction. It's because, I mean, with all due respect to bus drivers who I love and respect, who wants to be a bus driver? Like, kids suck these days, especially in Nashville. Is that wrong to say? Everyone goes quiet.
Absolutely not,
Everyone
man.
goes quiet.
Yeah, who wants? I mean, you're always hearing stories about something happening on a bus.
Right.
And,
You know what?
Who wants to deal with that? And then, you used to be, Dan, as a bus driver or a teacher or what have you, you could discipline the kids, but, now you do that and you got the parents on your case.
Yep.
So who wants to deal with that?
That's exactly right, Jay. Bring the fire, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Now, listen, all you Nashville bus drivers, at least you're not driving a bus in Philadelphia. Right? At least that's a positive. Certification requirements include being 25 or older these days, passing physical exams, and completing classroom and hands-on training for safe driving practices. You know how much money bus drivers make, school bus drivers make? They say here, and maybe it's changed, an hourly wage of $20.11, amounting to approximately $41,600 annually. So, I don't know. I think there's better ways to make a living, but I have the utmost appreciation and respect for school bus drivers. But I don't know. So, Jay, what do you think? Well, you got an official news person opinion on this? Save it, make it 20, keep it 25 or lower it to 21. What do you think?
Well, perhaps if they paid more.
Right.
Maybe they wouldn't have this shortage. Of course, you could say that about a lot of professions, I suppose. But,
yeah, that's true. You do get summers off. You do get summers off, but then they don't. I'm assuming they don't get paid during the summer.
Yeah,
but they do get summers off, and I don't know.
I don't know. I'm kind of the examples you were presenting earlier. 21-year-old goofball.
Oh yeah,
behind the wheel.
Oh yeah,
with all these kids, I just don't know how much respect they could command.
Walking onto the bus with his letter of certification. Hey, ladies, I'm certified. Is that wrong? KGB, what do you think?
Well,
you're closer to school bus rider age than all of us, than me and Jay.
Well, I don't know. 21, I was pretty immature. I think there's a lot of maturity to it. Like, you got to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta like be patient with these kids because there's going to be kids that are going to mess with you, and you gotta learn to handle that well.
So you're saying they're not really. There's a possibility they're not mature enough.
Well,
at 21,
maybe it's more of a patience thing because again, if a kid's like flicking your ear or throwing a spitball at you at 21,
right?
It's like a fight or flight response. It's not more of a you are kind of older now. You know what it's like to be around kids. Like you could be your own, you could be a father of your own, you could be an uncle or something like that. You could have that patience. But if you're just a 20-year-old kid still in college,
yep,
it's gonna be a little different scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it has a lot to do with the person itself. I think you got to do it on a person by person basis.
They say the average age of a bus driver. Can you guess what it is, KGB?
I'll say 38.
All right. What do you say, Jay?
Oh, I guess so. I'm saying older than that. I would say 47.
57.
Yeah.
57. Really? Wow. All right. So that's our Daily Dan poll. Should the state of Tennessee lower the age of school bus drivers, the minimum age from 25 to 21? Take the Daily Dan poll, 523. Jay, what's coming up?
Yes, Dan, winter weather. Yes, I can speak. It's wreaking havoc on parts of Kentucky, and we may be in for some of that, too. And our president making the rounds at another sporting event. We'll have those stories coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk.
528, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Well, apparently people really have some passionate opinions about lowering that age of minimum age of school bus drivers to 21. And one person says that Florida is actually testing driverless school buses. So I looked this up. This is a story from back in 2018 where they were doing this. I don't know if they're still doing this or not, but I did find that interesting. That would be smart. Driverless school buses. So then who would the kids harass? They'd have to harass each other. By the way, somebody else says, well, you can become a cop at the age of 21, can't you? Apparently you can. In the state of Tennessee, you can become a police officer. So, I don't know. I'm having a hard time coming up with a solid opinion on this because both sides have great points. But our Daily Dan poll, go take the Daily Dan poll. Right now, what are the numbers, KGB? Very quickly.
Right now, 76% say no.
76% say no, they should not lower the minimum.
Correct.
Okay, very good. News with Jay Harper. By the way, did you guys hear what Sheryl Crow did? Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
Virtue Signaling 101. It is coming up next. And also Donald Trump at the Daytona 500. Awesome. Coming up right here on WTN.
Good morning. It is 5:30. I'm Jay Harper in for a lounging Joan Jones. I've got your top stories. Hey, we've got a big weather change coming up, apparently. We'll fill you in on that, and we'll get to a traffic report as well, so stand by. Well, a severe winter storm's already flooded big parts of Kentucky over the weekend. At least 8 people have passed away in the state over all this. That's according to the governor there, saying that hundreds of people had to be rescued throughout the storm, and thousands more are sitting in the dark in the cold because they don't have any power. According to ABC's Faith Abube, they probably are not done with all this.
Parts of Kentucky right now can't seem to catch a break. You know, President Trump signed a disaster declaration over the weekend to help bringing even more resources to them, bringing rescuers from other states as well. You know, the governor there, Andy Beshear, has been begging for more resources. So it seems like he has that. But no, these resources are going to be stretched over the next several days.
Well, as Dan alluded to, Mr. Trump visiting another sporting event. It's his second this month.
President Trump attended the Daytona 500 yesterday, 1 week after becoming the first sitting U.S. president to attend the Super Bowl. With fighter jets flying overhead, Trump took a spin around the track in his presidential limousine.
That is Nicole D'Antonio reporting. Well, back here closer to home, Kentucky not the only one dealing with flooding issues. Clarksville Fire Rescue, they had to respond to more than a dozen rescues after flooding from this weekend's storms. 2 were rescued from a truck that was stuck on the flooded roadway on Saturday night. They also had a woman stuck in a car on a flooded road yesterday morning. The Clarksville Rescue Chief says so far they pulled 27 people from their homes just on yesterday alone. As the rescues continue, the city of Clarksville said that more homes could be impacted by the cresting of the Red River at Port Royal. Let's turn now to the market numbers report. It's brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. You can find them online at beaconcm.com. We now have a report from Jim Ryan.
U.S. markets are closed for President's Day, but investors are looking ahead to Wednesday's release of minutes from the Federal Reserve's January meeting. Those notes may indicate expected impacts from planned trade tariffs. Stocks were mixed headed into the long holiday weekend, though. The Dow Jones sank 165 points Friday to close at 44,546, while the Nasdaq Composite added 0.4%. The Standard & Poor's 500 finished Friday about where it began. Egg prices continue to soar, rising another 40 cents to $7.74 a dozen in the past week nationally. The Department of Agriculture says prices are not likely to fall as farmers continue to struggle with bird flu outbreaks in their flocks. Bad weather, wildfires, and creeping inflation drove down sales at the nation's fast food restaurants to start the year. That's after Burger King, McDonald's, and Popeyes saw strong results in the fourth quarter of 2024, erased in January 2025.
Let's go ahead and look at the stock futures. Again, the markets are closed today, but the futures are still out there. The Dow up 53, S&P 500 up 12.5. The Nasdaq is up, what is it up? It's up 67.5. That is the latest news, traffic, weather. There next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. If only the weather and the traffic could look as good today, or, well, every day as good as it looks today. The traffic in particular, no accidents, no breakdowns on this President's Day. We do indeed have your traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, by the way, come on out, won't you? March 4th, we're going to do an event. Really looking forward to it, actually. It's going to be an evening with WTN. Yours truly, Chris Hand, Chad Benson, Matt Murphy as well. It's going to be March 4th, and it's going to be at the Nashville Palace. And Donald Trump is addressing the joint members of Congress, the joint chamber of the House and the Senate. I know, what the hell am I reading? I'll just go ahead and read it right from the script. How about we do that? It's an evening with WTN. Come break bread with us while we broadcast live as we lead into Trump's triumphant return to the halls of Congress and deliver his address before the 119th United States Congress in the chamber of the House of Representatives in the United States Capitol. Not sure why I couldn't read that. Anyway, so we're all four going to be there, and we'd love to see you there. It is, again, at the Nashville Palace, and looking forward to seeing you there. Tickets they are available at 997WTN.com. Looking forward to that. You know who I don't think is going to be there at the Nashville Palace on March 4th? I don't think Sheryl Crow is going to be there. Did you see what she did?
I did.
So this is Virtue Signaling 101. Country music star Sheryl Crow announcing on Instagram that she had sold her Tesla to protest Elon Musk's involvement in President Donald Trump's administration and donated the earnings to NPR. How appropriate. She says, my parents always... Oh, wait. Okay. I get it now. I get it. My parents always said, you are who you hang out with. There comes a time when you have to decide who you are willing to align with. So long, Tesla, she wrote on Instagram alongside a video of her waving goodbye to her Tesla. Now, the reason why I say that I get it now, and I don't, just so we're clear, I don't know if the photos of Sheryl Crow with Epstein and Diddy were legit or not. I don't know if they were or not, but you have all of these photos of her with these creepazoids, across the entertainment spectrum. Crow, a critic of President Trump, echoed concerns of Democratic lawmakers and liberal pundits who have taken issue with Musk's role in Trump administration as the head of the Department of Government Efficiency. Damn that Elon Musk trying to save people money. How dare he? I mean, this is the absurdity about all of this virtue signaling from somebody like Sheryl Crow. Is that over the weekend we found out we've got thousands of people that are getting Social Security and they're dead. They're literally dead. There's hundreds, thousands that are like over 160 years old. And yet somehow they're getting Social Security. Damn that Elon Musk. She says money donated to @NPR, which is under threat by President Musk, please, in hopes that the truth will continue to find its way to those willing to know the truth. She continued in the post. The truth is, Sheryl Crow, and by the way, I'm a big fan of Sheryl Crow's music. I really do. I like her music. But this is just ridiculous. She is clearly, obviously, so Trump derangement syndrome. Crow said back in 2017, toward the beginning of Trump's first term, that she had hoped he would be impeached. She said the first 144 days of his presidency had been nothing but chaos. You know what? The first month has been nothing but chaos now in Trump 2.0. But it's like the good kind of chaos. You know what I'm talking about? And by the way, I don't believe that we should be funding NPR. That's a bunch of BS if I've ever, says the commercial broadcaster. But you know what I'm talking about? And by the way, and I fully know and I fully admit that the funding that NPR gets from the federal government, our taxpayer dollars, makes up, not the entirety of how NPR earns their money. I'm air quoting, earns their money. But they can earn their own money. They don't need to get money from the taxpayers to do what they do, which is clearly leftist in nature. But listen to what she said. Trump's first 144 days and all the chaos, it actually has kept me up at night, she admitted at the time. It's infiltrated our daily lives in a way that is, for me, not healthy. She says, I'm concerned about our democracy, what we count on as Americans. We don't know what the truth is. Well, yeah, because you spent all that time watching CNN, Sheryl Crow. Members of the media had suggested Musk was the shadow president prior to Donald Trump's inauguration, so on and so forth. So I don't know. You know, it's one of those things where you look at what's going on in America and how much money Donald Trump has and Elon Musk so far saved the American people. Donald Trump tweeting out over the weekend, posting on the socials over the weekend, U.S. taxpayer dollars were going to be spent on the following items, all of which have been canceled. $10 million for Mozambique voluntary medical male circumcision.
Yeah, that's a cut, all right.
Oh, Jay Harper, everybody. Jay, did you make that up yourself, or did you see that on?
That just kind of came to this warped brain of mine.
You know, Jay was hoping that I'd bring this up all morning long just so that he could use that that joke.
You know, I tell you, the whole Sheryl Crow thing, you know, she was teamed up with Kid Rock, you know, on
Picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, that was like 15 years ago, but still, that's I mean, like she didn't know that Kid Rock was,
well, that may have been
far
before
right.
Kid Rock became more conservative.
Yeah,
you know what I
maybe,
mean? That may have been. Or they can all just agree to disagree on politics. But when you look at all of the money, $486 million to the Consortium for Elections and Political Process, strengthening, including $22 million for inclusive and participatory political process in Moldova, and $21 million for voter turnout in India. You know, Sheryl Crow was going on about how she's going to donate money to NPR. And she says, oh, the media, you don't know what you can believe anymore. Sheryl, your president, Joe Biden, was funding propaganda in foreign nations. These folks, they don't have any clue. And it's fine. I mean, if that's what she wants to do, and if that's the way that they want to, talk about things, that is certainly their right. All of this gas, because really what she's doing is gaslighting. You know, she says, you don't really know, with regards to the media, you don't really know what you can believe anymore. Well, boy, we certainly know that after Joe Biden, don't we? We absolutely know that after Joe Biden. Because the media was, as everyone knows, the media was protecting Joe Biden. And we have found out now just how much. So some of the things that Sheryl Crow has said in the past, let's be honest, they're clearly not aging well. And neither is the Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, here's the deal. And I've got all kinds of stuff going on in the 6 o'clock hour. By the way, we do have Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson. He's going to be joining us for a lot of local issues that we're going to be talking about coming from the state legislature. But Donald Trump had a very, very big weekend. He was out at the Daytona 500. And I don't know if you folks watched it, but, I mean, he came out and he was met with a lot of cheers. And he took, actually, I don't know if you saw this. Did you see the beast as it made its way across or around the track? It was awesome. And people absolutely loved it. Need some audio.
It's time. Warmed up. I know. I can't wait. And Donald Trump taking some hot laps. We expect to talk to the president.
Yeah, and they did. And this is what he had to say.
What brings you back to the great American race?
Well, I think it's fantastic. It's great for the country. Our country is doing well again. And we have spirit all over the world. There's spirit again. We brought it back. And it's been less than 4 weeks. So you'll see what we do in a little period of time. It's going to only get better. But this is very exciting.
Yep. And also he spoke to the racers on the radio.
This is your favorite president. I'm a big fan. I am a really big fan of you people that you do this. I don't know, but I just want you to be safe. You're talented people, and you're great people and great Americans. Have a good day. Have a lot of fun, and I'll see you later.
There you go, Donald Trump. And by the way, I know that he sounds drunk. He's not. That's what happens on these radios and the race cars. We've all gone through that before. So when Sheryl Crow and all these other folks are talking about how, Donald Trump is nothing but chaotic and, he's threat to demise, just all the usual crap. Then you see ABC's John Carl. Now, first it was, I think, NBC. Then it was, I don't know, some pollster that also showed that Donald Trump was doing really well. There was a Fox News poll, and now Jonathan Karl also having to admit that Donald Trump's favorability rating is actually higher than it ever was the first time around.
Donald Trump's favorability rating is actually higher than it ever was the first time around. Let me ask you, a recent poll by Marquette looked at several of the things that he has done or says that he is going to do, and 63% favor federal government's recognition of only two sexes, 60% favor deporting immigrants who entered the United States illegally, 60% favor expanding oil and gas production, 59% favor declaring an emergency at the southern border.
Yep.
Is there anything you are seeing that Trump is doing that you are in favor of, that you think is the right thing?
So the funny thing is that's an interview with Hakeem Jeffries, and he has absolutely nothing to say. I mean, you heard the pause there, like, oh crap, what am I going to say? Because clearly the American people are against the Democrats and everything that they stand for. So, Sheryl Crow, she can sell her Tesla if she wants, but the bottom line is, and donate it to NPR, that is absolutely her right. But again, the bottom line is that Democrats are not doing really well. Did you see this? There is a poll out there that shows that the good people of California, do you know who their leading candidate is for the polling as to who they want their governor to be? Did you hear this? Yep. Word salad herself.
When we think about like these moments where we see things that are being taken, but also let's see it as nature abhors a vacuum. So where there's a vacancy, then let's fill it, right? And let's know that the reality is that the progress of our nation has always been about the expansion of rights, not the restriction of rights. Mm-hmm. We're seeing a U-turn right now.
So she's in with a bunch of Broadway actors and actresses, and she was going to see a play, and so she's like the quarterback in the middle of the huddle. And you hear all of these actors, and they're just like looking at her like she's saying something brilliant, and she's really not.
For those rights to be maintained, which means we have to be vigilant, and it's just the nature of it. I mean, look at this beautiful play and everything that we know he ended.
I think she was drunk.
That he was suppressed, he had to suppress so much, but he knew, and he took those risks. But we have to be clear-eyed. And
I love that. She says we have to be clear-eyed. Clearly, she's not.
You could understand her?
Yeah. You couldn't understand.
She was like mumbling.
Yeah, I admit I had a hard time as well. Like, really? Yeah.
She was mumbling. The cast and crew nodded along and celebrated her visit. Critics on social media have since expressed confusion about what precisely she was trying to say. You know what? I guess for me, I picked out certain words. I kind of got where she was trying to go. But, I mean, it made sense for if you speak Kamala-ese, which some of us have been deciphering her for the last 4 years, we kind of get where she's going. But I love this. They say the saddest part is hearing the people agreeing with her, like they were mesmerized by what she was saying. One critic said, here's another one, the woman is completely incapable of giving a coherent statement. You'd think that she'd keep her mouth shut at this point, another added. The third saying on the socials, no self-awareness, no filters, no adjustment, no improvement. Another critic shared the video of her pep talk, asking thoughts. Would you pay to hear her monologues? No, I wouldn't. Kamala Harris hit Broadway and, of course, served up her signature word salad, a friendly reminder of what we dodged in the White House. A cast member, though, Wes Barnes, shared a snippet of the interaction on TikTok and praised the former vice president for being generous with her time. He said not only did she take the time to inspire us, and speak life into us? But she was so gracious with her time as well. Well, she doesn't have a lot else to do. I mean, let's be honest. But how does that speech speak life into someone? I mean, you've got to be a dead soul if you're inspired by that. That's all I'm saying. So, Madam Word Salad, she is apparently alive and well. People are trying to figure out if she was actually drunk or not. I don't know if she was drunk. We all know that she does this, and she's been doing it for years and years and years. And, you know, we'll maybe continue to cover Kamala Harris in the weeks and months and years ahead.
Have you heard any more about her supposed $20 million book deal?
No.
Yeah, I haven't either. I wonder if that's just kind of gone away.
Can you imagine if she wrote her own book? Like, if her book was actually written in Kamala words, I mean, that would be like one big, long run-on sentence, would it not? I mean, it would just...
Exactly.
All right, 5:55, Jay Harper, what's coming up in the news?
Yes, in the news, well, we've got a weather change in the forecast. We'll get to that for you. And a standoff with police in Nashville this morning. We'll have those stories and more at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Good morning. We are coming up on 1 minute past 6 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Well, if you like winter weather, you may love the next couple of days. Yes, the winter weather is a good possibility for the middle of the week here across the mid-state. Much of our Tuesday forecast to stay dry and cloudy, highs in the upper 30s, but the first snow showers are expected to arrive Tuesday night, especially in far northwest Middle Tennessee, Clarksville, and that area, and parts of southern Kentucky. You may see a few slick spots late in the day on overpasses and bridges on Tuesday, but the widespread snowfall expected Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, 1 to 2 inches of snow expected across the mid-state. Some areas north of the city could end up with as much as 4 to 5 inches. Travel on Wednesday morning could be a little dicey, and there could be lingering impacts throughout the afternoon as well. We'll have that forecast by an official meteorologist here in just a bit. ABC News has learned that around 13 immigration judges were laid off by the Justice Department as the ongoing immigration crackdown continues, despite what some consider to be growing resource shortages.
ICE says it arrested more than 8,200 people between January 22nd and January 31st, but ICE has stopped releasing updated numbers, and a fraction of those detained were released back into the U.S. because of a lack of resources. Just days ago, Trump's border czar expressing frustration with the number of ICE arrests. Homan meeting with New York City Mayor Eric Adams and says he's agreed to work with the Trump administration while they increase teams conducting operations in the city.
Back here in Middle Tennessee, a man was arrested early this morning, accused of firing a rifle inside a home in the Two Rivers area of town. That's according to Metro Police. Police said the SWAT team was called in after a shot was fired from inside the home near Pennington Bend and Lock 2 Road. A woman and a young child were inside the home. Police said nobody was injured. They say that it all started after the woman's family called police for a welfare check, and when cops got there, they were confronted by the woman's husband who had a gun, a rifle to be exact. Police had to hide behind their cars when they heard a shot fired inside the home. Metro obtained 2 warrants for aggravated assault for the woman's husband. He refused to surrender, but it was at about 3 o'clock this morning the SWAT team was able to get in the home and arrest the man. He's charged with a couple of counts of aggravated assault. They have yet to release his name. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. On this President's Day morning, we have had a crash, and that has left the right 2 lanes blocked on I-40 eastbound just past Charlotte Pike. But frankly, with so few vehicles on the road, it's not really affecting traffic all that much. But that's all we're seeing thus far. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends, and welcome on into your President's Day. Or if you're some of the folks here locally and filled with TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, it's not your President's Day. That is going to be a rally later on today at the state capitol. Apparently, a bunch of TDSers are getting together at 12 o'clock at the rally, and they're at the state capitol. It is going to be their Not My President rally or protest today at noon. I'm generally wondering, because you know what happens is they get really cold and they all just, put their signs down and go home. And so I'm curious. Jay, do we know what the temperature is going to be at noon today?
Not offhand. No, I don't.
I think it's going to be in the 30s.
Yeah,
So
we are in a chilly snap here, and I believe you're right. A daytime high expected in the mid to upper 30s.
Okay, mid to upper 30s. We'll see if they have a strong turnout of TDSers out at the Capitol. Now I'm going to speak with Jack Johnson, Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson. That's going to be at 6:38 here on WTN. Going to ask him all kinds of state business, including our Daily Dan poll. Watch us on YouTube. Like us and subscribe to the page. Watch us on YouTube. Take the Daily Dan poll. And we talked about this extensively in the 5 o'clock hour. Don't want to go backwards, but should Tennessee lower the minimum age of bus drivers from the age of 25 down to 21 years old? It is very controversial. And I found out in the 5 o'clock hour, a lot of people have very strong opinions on this. I'm actually not one of them, which is why I really haven't covered it all that much. But what do you think? Take the Daily Dan poll. The numbers now, Jeff Malinoff, what are the numbers real quick?
We got 77% with a no and 33% say yes. So this is a majority saying no, we should not lower the age to 21.
Okay, 6:09, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Of course, we all know that stuff, especially eggs, are still expensive.
Prices have reached an all-time high. What's your
Which is what?
Egg prices have reached an all-time high.
It was a long, before I ever got here, it was at an all-time. This didn't, remember, I've been here for 3 weeks. And when you saw the inflation numbers, I've been here for 3 weeks. I have had nothing to do with inflation. This was caused by Biden. I had 4 years of virtually no inflation. So I'm just taking over. But I'll tell you what, this country has made more progress in the last 3 weeks than it's made in the last 4 years. And we're respected again as a country. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And off he goes. And so part of what happens when a new president takes over is that he's got to deal with the policies and the consequences of the previous administration's decisions. And that's what's happening right now. So, for example, when Joe Biden took over, he had an economy that was recovering from COVID. But the reality is that things were opening up and primed for greatness. Our economy was primed for greatness. And so Biden, in his infinite wisdom, took the Trump economy and threw it in the trash. And he decided to spend a ton of money on climate crap and inflation, of course, as we all know. There were a couple of really, really large spending bills that Joe Biden and his friends in the Congress, they voted through. And because of that, inflation absolutely skyrocketed. And so it does take a while for a president's decisions to bake in. And so when Trump is like, look, I've been here like a month. And by the way, when you talk about the price of eggs, we talked about this specifically last week and in previous monologues as well, that the bird flu is causing an issue with the chickens. And so the chickens are being put down. And that means that there's an egg shortage. So there's not a lot that Trump can do about that. Now, remember, with Biden, inflation, it was across the board. I mean, it was gasoline, it was bacon. I mean, it was everything. It wasn't just the eggs. Now, we received some inflation news on Friday that inflation had picked up for the 4th month in a row and hit a 7-month high in January. Now, just so you know, that is obviously on Joe Biden. Trump was asked about all of that, specifically about, again, those egg prices. You did hear his response. Now, part of what's going on right now is tariffs. And we've been talking about tariffs ad nauseum. I understand that. We don't really know what's going to happen with Trump's tariffs. But it has been a very big conversation. What is going to happen? Trump has implemented tariffs on Chinese goods. That's 10%. He wants reciprocal tariffs. So any nation that is charging us tariffs on our exports, he is going to charge the same on imports coming from those countries. Makes sense, right? Of course, the 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico, they have not taken effect because Trump got what he wanted, which was help on the southern and northern border, respectively. But here's the problem that we have. The problem that we have right now is that there's a lot of uncertainty in the market because nobody really knows what the impact of those tariffs are going to be. And so there's been a lot of conversation about that.
Trade policy uncertainty is today at levels that are quite elevated, even relative to where we were in 2017 and 18. So in that sense, that uncertainty might also begin to have some implications for business spending decisions. So overall, uncertainty is, of course, something that means something for business planning, and business planning may therefore also potentially be negatively impacted.
So bottom line is when there's a lot of uncertainty in the market and there's a lot of factors that are out there sort of dangling and nobody knows exactly what the impact is going to be, that causes uncertainty. And right now there is uncertainty and businesses are more cautious with hiring and research and spending because they don't know what's going to happen with these tariffs. And by the way, that was an economist, Torsten Slok, talking to Fox News. But he does stresses that right now we just don't have enough information on what's going to happen with these tariffs. But you did hear him say that there was a lot of uncertainty in 2017 when Donald Trump took over. Well, remember, back in 2016, 2017, there was a lot of uncertainty. Donald Trump took over, and it worked out really well. Did Donald Trump spend a crap ton of money? Absolutely, Donald Trump spent a crap ton of money. However, first couple of years, we had a really good economy. And for us, for the American people, when we have more money in our pocket and places are hiring and they're doing research and they're giving bonuses and raises, then clearly that's a good thing. Now, Donald Trump's spending a lot of money. That is also a very legitimate conversation. But now Donald Trump is saving a lot of money, a ton of money. We found out over the weekend just how much. I've got some of those numbers for you straight ahead. It is 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Yes, Dan, we are looking at still that crash that has the right two lanes blocked, I-40 eastbound just past Charlotte Pike. But again, traffic is so light this morning due to the federal holiday, President's Day, that it's not really affecting traffic all that much. So other than that, things looking mighty smooth this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes right here every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay. And right now, 6:15 on Nashville's Morning News. As far as your weather goes, 38 and cloudy all day today. But Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we are getting snow. 3 to 5 inches in some places. We've got your complete forecast coming up at 6:30 right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm almost feeling like... I don't know, Jay and KGB, you can chime in on this. Do you think people are tired of the litany, the lists of, $9.7 million we paid for UC Berkeley to develop a cohort of Cambodian youth with enterprise-driven skills? All the things that USAID paid for under Joe Biden. Are we at the point now where we don't have to continue to go through the litany of all of these things? Because I just feel like at this point, we know.
Yeah. Does this really surprise anyone?
It doesn't. And I don't feel like we need to keep doing the list. We got it.
Unless there's like a layer, they're helping a foreign terrorist organization or something like that.
Oh, wait, we did that.
I know, but I'm like, even if they kept saying like they continuously did it, or you know what I mean?
Right.
Just like something that could endanger the American people. I think we all get it. They wasted money. Let's just cut it.
Let's cut it. Let's move on. Let's continue to let people know. But spending an entire segment talking about, $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. We have an issue with learning outcomes here in America. So let's focus on us. And so now the question is, because we know a number of things. We know that Biden wasted a lot of money. And so we know now that Donald Trump is trying to cut those programs. He's battling federal judges. So we know. What is Donald Trump doing to help the economy? That's a question. One thing is drill, baby, drill. Now, I started out this segment talking about inflation, the price of things, the cost of eggs, and so forth. What concrete things is Donald Trump doing to help the economy? Well, on Friday, he announced that he is lifting Biden's ban on offshore oil drilling.
The executive order by President Biden that wiped out these trillions from our balance sheet, President Trump signed an executive order instructing me as the Secretary of Interior to unban that ban, and that's been accomplished. And so those are back on the U.S. balance sheet.
So that is something specific that Donald Trump did on Friday after we got off the air, where he, with an executive order, he lifted the Biden ban on offshore oil drilling. And so you had Doug Burgum, Secretary of the Interior, and he has indeed revised Biden's executive order to ban that offshore oil drilling on 635 million acres. Remember we talked about that out there in Alaska and all across America. You had Joe Biden throwing down that executive order banning offshore oil drilling. And now Trump, because he knows the value of drill, baby, drill, and he understands that lower gasoline prices, lower energy prices do lead to lower prices overall.
The amount of money that he took off our balance sheet, if you look at a balance sheet, it was incalculable. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And he did that, I guess, in the last few days of the administration. He just wiped it out. 635 million acres, which if you sit down and look, it's like that's a major part of the ocean. And he just gave it away and took it away. And fortunately, it wasn't done with an act of Congress or anything. And we did it in a, I think, very abbreviated, very quick, and very legal procedure, and it's now back on our balance sheet. It's back as part of our country. What they did was so horrible. It was just a terrible thing to do.
Well, it absolutely was. And so the big part of the story today is that small businesses are actually incredibly optimistic, which means that they're going to start hiring again. You know what the problem is with small businesses? They want to start hiring again. They're excited to start hiring again. They want to do what they can do to bring in money and to help churn the American economy. Do you know what the problem is? The problem is they can't find anybody to work. A survey found that 90% of the small business owners in America are trying to hire in January, and they reported few or no qualified applicants. Federal data show the ratio of open jobs to unemployed workers has been around 1-to-1 in recent months. But they say that several industries, like construction, are struggling with a shortage of skilled labor, That's a big problem.
That's Trump's fault, Dan. That's Trump's fault. He's cracking down on the immigrants. Mm-hmm. So, hey, he only has himself to blame.
That I guarantee you that argument is coming. Argument is coming.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, Governor Lee is trying to fix that. And I've got that story for you straight ahead. It is 6:21 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. It is February. Of course, we had Valentine's Day on Friday. Nothing says love like gunpowder and lead, like what you do find at the Glock store. Now, it is the month of Valentine's Day, so all this month, over at the Glock store, you and your significant other can get to a couples training session. You can go to a couples training session in their Shoot 270 indoor shooting rooms, and you could book a couples shooting session at shoot270.com through the month of February. And when you show up, you mention my name, and you both get trained for the price of one. It's a 2-for-1. Now, remember, this is a private shooting room with a personal instructor, a professional that will tailor the session to your current level of shooting expertise. And whatever level you're at, they will up your game like they did for me. So remember to book your 2-for-1 Valentine's date at the Glock store. Book it at shoot270.com. You mentioned my name, Dan Mandis. You get 2 for 1. The Glock store, minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere. Again, shoot270.com. 622, and Jay Harper's in for Joe and Jones. Jay, what's coming up?
Yeah, Dan, there are a lot of top stories out there, but I think the one that will affect us most, a weather change, and we'll get to that here shortly. Also, Clarksville, they have had water rescues over the weekend. We'll have those stories and more coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
627, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. Governor Lee, I'm going to ask Jack Johnson this. Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson is going to join us at 6:38. But the headline is Governor Lee wants to send students to Tennessee trade schools. Now, in the previous segment, remember, we're talking about how you have a lot of these small businesses that they're really optimistic, but they cannot find people to work. They can't find qualified applicants. And that is most certainly true with skilled labor. And so now Governor Lee here in the state of Tennessee wants to do something about it. Governor Lee wanting to send students to the Tennessee trade schools. But there's a bit of a problem. The problem is that there's concern that the funds simply aren't there. The governor's proposal calling on taking $12 million each year out of the Tennessee Lottery Fund to pay for these scholarships to attend Tennessee Colleges of Applied Technology. And again, I love the idea, but the funds may or may not be there. They say there is cautious concern about the lottery and its financial health moving forward because he wants to use lottery funds. And so they're saying that the lottery and its financial health moving forward, there's some concern about that. And they say, I think that you need to be prepared to have a really in-depth conversation about the utilization of lottery dollars, says Senator Burr Watson, a Republican out of Hickson, directing the comment to Tennessee's Commissioner of Finance and Administration, Jim Bryson, during a budget hearing last week. So here's the thing, and they talk about this. There's a lot of straws that are in the cup of the lottery, if you will. They talk about all of the things that is coming out of those lottery funds. You've got Hope Scholarships for in-state four-year universities. You have lottery funds from sports gambling that's going to go towards building and repairing schools. And according to Channel 5, you have lottery sales overall that are declining. And so the question is, do we have enough money for the $12 million that Governor Lee wants to use to send kids to the Tennessee trade schools? I am a huge advocate for trade schools. You folks know this. Huge advocate. Colleges, not so much, although I do understand they have their place. I'll ask Jack Johnson about all of this coming up. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is coming up on 6:30, and I'm Jay Harper in for Joan Jones. I've got your top stories, the biggest of which affecting us locally. A big weather change coming to parts of Middle Tennessee. We'll have an in-depth weather forecast for you and also traffic coming up. But let me just kind of give you the general picture here with regards to weather. The return of winter weather is forecast for the middle of the week across the mid-state. Now, much of tomorrow is expected to stay dry and cloudy with highs in the upper 30s. The first snow showers, yeah, that four-letter word, snow, will arrive tomorrow night in far northwest Middle Tennessee and parts of southern Kentucky, and widespread snow expected tomorrow night and into Wednesday morning, with a couple of inches of snow expected across most of the mid-state, though some areas north of Nashville and west of the city could end up getting as much as 5 inches. So travel impacts certainly expected on that Wednesday morning commute. Again, a complete official forecast coming up. Elon Musk, yeah, he's out there doing his thing. He's looking to reform 2 more federal departments. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio reports on what he has been tasked with.
ABC News has learned Doge requested access to an IRS data system that retains the personal tax information of millions of Americans. Sources say they have not been granted access yet. Today, Musk is expected to visit the Air Traffic Control Command Center to better understand what the FAA needs to modernize the system.
Back in Middle Tennessee, Clarksville Fire Rescue, they responded to more than a dozen rescues after flooding from this weekend storms. 2 were rescued from a truck that got stuck on some flooded roadways on Saturday night. They also had to rescue a woman. She got stuck in her car on a flooded road about 6 o'clock yesterday morning. The Clarksville Rescue Chief says so far they pulled 27 people out of their homes just on Sunday. And as the rescue continues, the city of Clarksville said more homes could be impacted. The cresting of the Red River at Port Royal is still yet to come. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Think of Jay, 632, Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here with a question for you, friends. If your roof was destroyed in a storm like we had over the weekend, Friday night, holy mackerel, how much of that replacement cost would your insurance company cover? Now, if you don't know, you really do need to ask because some insurance companies refuse to pay full replacement cost. They're going to deduct money for an older roof, and this means that the insurance company will depreciate how much they pay for your roof claim. If you've got an older roof, they're going to pay you less, and that could leave you on the hook for thousands of dollars. Now, my friends at King & Associates Insurance, they will pay full replacement costs. So whether you have to replace a 10-year-old roof or a 2-year-old roof, they will pay for it to be replaced, period. Now, it is that kind of focus on customer service that makes King & Associates Insurance one of the best insurance companies around. Call them and tell them Dan told you to reach out at 615-329-8121. 615-329-8121. Get your Royal Review, tkinginsurance.com.
Still our only issue, and they're wrapping this up. There was a crash earlier, 40 eastbound, Interstate 40 eastbound, just past Charlotte Pike. The right lane's been blocked there, but again, traffic is so light with the President's Day holiday, not really impacting traffic all that much. Other than that, we're looking good this morning. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much, Jay. 635, Dan Mandis here for my friends at Window Nation. Now, this is my window company. They put windows in my home in the last couple of years, 4 windows in my home in the last couple of years, and I do suspect that they're going to be back because they do great work. Now, listen, if 2025 is the year that you upgrade your home, start with a call to Window Nation. They're offering you a full 60% off window styles, all of them. And you pay nothing for 2 full years, no payments or interest for 24 months. Now, that is a great deal for great windows from Window Nation. They've got some of the best insulated windows money can buy. So not only are you saving 60% on the windows, but the savings last for years to come on energy bills. Now, you know, at Window Nation, they've got over 20,000 5-star reviews, including mine, and Window Nation has a 96% customer satisfaction rating. Even Forbes ranked Window Nation the highest on their list of best window installation. Now, don't forget that great deal, the Dan Deal, 60% off all window styles, and you pay no interest and no payments for 2 full years. Mention my name when you call 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION. You can find them online, windownation.com. 638, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome out to your President's Day. How are you? Anybody working today? I know I am. KGB is. Jay Harper is in for Joan Jones, who is not working. Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson will be joining us at 7:38 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're talking about, and every time I go down this road, I hear from so many of you. And again, you folks know, my story. I don't know if you know my brother's story, but my brother went to vocational school, HVAC school, and he learned how to be an air conditioning repairman and paid, I think it was like $6,000 or $7,000, something like that. And these days, he has been working as an HVAC. He was a repairman, then he got into managing, then he got into designing systems for buildings, just this whole thing. And so for my brother, who spent $5,000 or $6,000 on HVAC school way back, I think it was in about 1986, 1987, he has now put not only 3 kids, but also his wife through college. So I think it's kind of ironic that the one guy who didn't go to college in his immediate family put everybody else through college. And I think that is a great testament to the greatness of vocational schools. And so when we talk about Governor Lee, and the big question is, do we have enough money to, it's like $12 million the governor wants to use to send people here in the state of Tennessee to one of our Tennessee vocational schools. I think it's a great idea, but the problem is we got all this money coming out of the lottery funds here in the state of Tennessee that they're worried that Governor Lee's not going to be able to do what he wants to do with that $12 million. Because we've got the Hope scholarships, among other things, and so we'll speak to Jack Johnson, Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson, coming up at 7:38 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. But every time I start talking about this, the Super Text line just goes crazy with people talking about how they've had a lot of success with vocational schools. One of the things that folks within the state legislature are saying, because there's a lot of hand-wringing about people, they're worried about the Hope scholarships and how we won't have enough money for the Hope scholarships. And some folks are saying, well, listen, here's the thing, is that a lot of folks are not going to college these days. Fewer people are going to college these days, and more people are going to these vocational schools. So what the hope is that it'll all just balance out. But we'll speak to Jack Johnson coming up here at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I don't know if you folks saw this on Saturday night. Saturday Night Live. Apparently there was a skit. Now, I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember when Tom Hanks played a MAGA guy named Doug? And he wore a MAGA hat, red, is a Trump supporter, of course. And in the skit on Saturday Night Live, old Doug made a return. And they played something called Black Jeopardy. The host is Kenan Thompson, who is black. And this is what it sounded like.
Oh, well, thank you. Hey, now speaking of church, can I say something? If more folks went to church, we wouldn't be in this mess we're in now.
You know what? I agree with you, Doug. I'd like to shake your hand, sir. Here we go.
No.
Oh, no. It's just a handshake. Yeah, it's just a handshake. Yeah, all right.
So you've got Kenan Thompson walking over to Tom Hanks. And Hanks is acting like, oh, no, a black man is coming to my way. Can't shake a hand, right? That's what it looks like. Well, that's what they did in the skit. And so clearly, at least to me, it was yet another indication that Hollywood has not learned. Because the bottom line is that you've got this Tom Hanks playing MAGA supporter, afraid of not wanting to shake the hand of Kenan Thompson, the black guy. And it's so tone deaf, because we know in the last election how well Donald Trump did with the black vote. And so it is so dumb.
You're welcome at Black Jeopardy anytime.
All right. Well, thank you, my brother. Maybe I'll start a show for you to come on, and we'll call it What jeopardy?
No. We don't need it. We don't need it.
So, as you can imagine, a lot of MAGA folks didn't like that at all because what it's doing is it's playing into this stupid stereotype concocted by the left that Trump supporters are racist. Now, how bad was this? Earlier, I don't think it's still the headline of the Daily Mail, but earlier, the top story, top of the fold at dailymail.com, Tom Hanks blasted for racist and disgusting portrayal of MAGA supporter on star-studded SNL 50. What people said about it coming up, 6:45. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Yeah, Dan, again, we had that problem on 40 eastbound just past Charlotte Pike. That has been cleared, and with that, we've got no other accidents or breakdowns. Traffic looking good on this federal holiday. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, thank you very much. As far as your weather goes, a high of 38 and cloudy all day. We've got some snow coming in on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning and into Wednesday afternoon. We're talking about 3 to 5 inches of snow in some places. Your complete forecast is coming up at 7 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So I just played you this audio. Tom Hanks playing a MAGA supporter named Doug. It's a familiar, if you've seen the previous installments of this on Saturday Night Live, you know that this character named Doug, again, played by Tom Hanks, wears a MAGA hat, and they portray this guy as just clearly a bumbling idiot and a racist, playing into every stereotype that the left and the media has concocted about Donald Trump.
Oh, well, thank you. Hey, now speaking of church, can I say something? If more folks went to church, we wouldn't be in this mess we're in now.
You know what? I agree with you, Doug. I'd like to shake your hand, sir. Here we go.
No,
oh, no.
Like that.
Oh, no. It's just a handshake. Yeah, it's just a handshake. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I mean, it is just, I mean, as a guy who's a MAGA supporter, I'm obviously, I just don't get mad that often anymore. Are you like this? Where it's just, I've only got so much capacity in my brain to get, worried and angry about all of the stupid stuff that these folks do on the left. But here's the deal, is that the more that they do that, the more they make themselves more irrelevant. Saturday Night Live puts it this way. Tom Hanks blasted for racist and disgusting portrayal of MAGA supporter on star-studded SNL 50. Tom Hanks, they say, has been blasted for portraying a Trump supporter as a dim-witted racist during a skit on Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary celebration. The Hollywood legend made a return as Doug, a clueless rube who puts on a Make America Great Again hat and performs surprisingly well on a mock game show called Black Jeopardy. In the new version of the sketch, Doug vehemently refused to shake hands with host Daryl Hayes, played by Kenan Thompson, who, of course, is black. In the new version of the sketch, Doug vehemently refused to shake hands with Thompson. Afterward, Donald Trump's fans blasted Saturday Night Live and the Forrest Gump star for what they viewed as an unfair portrayal. I always thought that, just to be honest, I thought, and I might be wrong on this, I'm going to get blasted. You watch on this. Watch the super text line, KGB. I'm going to get blasted for this. I always thought that Tom Hanks was better than that. Is that wrong to say? Jay, did you think that Tom Hanks was better than that, to play a stereotypical, this identification of what the left believes a Donald Trump supporter is?
Well, I mean, let's face it. He's part of that left-wing wacko L.A. crowd, man.
I know.
And when it comes right down to it,
He's no Al Pacino, though. No, is it Robert De Niro?
De Niro.
De Niro?
Yeah.
No, De Niro is the one that's crazy.
Yeah,
De Niro's the one. I always get them confused.
He's the one that knocked up a woman at age 80 and hates Trump. Yes, that's the guy.
There you go. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, Pacino did too. 83 years old, became a new father.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Nothing. You got a moral problem with that, KGB?
Yeah, he's going to grow up without a father.
I know. I see. That's exactly what I said at the time.
Yes, but he will grow up with a trust fund. So
there is that. Moving right along. Let's see here. So afterward, they say Trump fans blasted Saturday Night Live and also Tom Hanks for what they say was an unfair portrayal Former RFK Jr. aide Link Lauren called the character disgusting and accused Saturday Night Live of pushing a tired, divisive narrative. It absolutely, and especially when, again, not to belabor the point, but when you look at how Donald Trump did with black voters in the last election, it tells you all you need to know about how out of touch Saturday Night Live is.
Well, Dan, that story is still the top story on Daily Mail's website.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right.
In the headline, Forrest Chump.
Oh, Forrest Chump. Well, you think they'll apologize? No. Another one. This show wonders why their ratings are in the gutter. Trump won the popular vote. This tired trope that MAGA is racist is disgusting. Saturday Night Live is an unfunny show for snobbish liberal elites. So true. Another one. His sentiments were echoed by other Trump supporters who flooded social media with criticism of the sketch. One Trump fan wrote Tom Hanks in SNL thought it would be hilarious for him to put on a MAGA hat and act out a stereotype of half the country in a desperate attempt to cope with Democrats' crushing defeat in November. Not surprising, no one watches SNL or NBC anymore.
And you know, Dan, what else was fed into the stereotype? You notice that Hanks used what? A Southern accent.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so that makes you a rube right there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they do. Bruce Snyder. Tom Hanks came out on Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary special in a MAGA hat doing a skit where he acted like he didn't want to shake a black man's hand. This is why Saturday Night Live is in the toilet. It is true. It is absolutely true. It is 6:50 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. I'm interested to see if they'll come out with an apology. You think Tom Hanks will apologize?
Nah.
I don't think so either. KGB, you think Tom Hanks will apologize?
Not a chance.
Okay. Well, again, this is why, a lot of folks aren't watching Saturday Night Live. And here's the deal. I can laugh with a lot of stuff, but the stereotypes that have literally destroyed the lives of MAGA people, supporters of Donald Trump, because it is those stereotypes that have destroyed lives and cut relationships. It destroyed relationships because you'll have some people in your family, stop me when you've heard this before, but there's some people that we've all known, either friends or in our family, that believe that destructive stereotype that Saturday Night Live and Tom Hanks portrayed is reality. And the reality is, as you and I know, is not how they portrayed Donald Trump supporters. Yet they'll continue to do that. They'll continue to do it, and they'll continue to do it, and they're going to do so at their own demise. By the way, again, I couldn't say it enough. How many polls have now showed that millions of America absolutely love what Donald Trump is doing? 6:52 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Zero Res. Now, you know that I used to worry about the chemicals that carpet cleaning companies used on my carpets, and that's why I started using Zero Res years ago. Now, with Zero Res, they clean your carpets with powered water, no harsh chemicals, no soap, and no residue. Zero Res is safe for my kids and pets. That is why I began using Zero Res years ago. Now, the science behind Zero Res and their water cleaning agents is much healthier than using those soaps and detergents that those other companies use. That is the Zero Res difference, and that's why I've been a customer for years. Using Zero Res will also help with smelly carpet and your allergies as well. And right now, a great deal for the month of February. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned for $109 and $50 off of air duct cleaning as well. That's the great deal, the Dan deal at Zero Res. Restrictions may apply. Call them 615-535-9376, 615-535-9376 for Zero Res. You can always find them online, ZeroResNashville.com. That's ZeroResNashville.com. 6:53 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Jay Harper is in for Joan Jones. Jay, what's coming up in the news?
Well, more stories about the weather, Dan, and it's affecting not only us here in Tennessee, but our good friends to the north in Kentucky. We also had a standoff with police in Nashville this morning, but it turned out good. We'll have those stories and more coming up at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Do you know what I love, Jay and KGB?
Yes, sir.
When somebody accidentally sends us a text message meant for, whoever their loved one is.
Yeah, for someone else.
5354 is letting us know that he just left work.
Okay.
Good to hear. Be careful.
Love you.
I'm not going to say that.
Say it.
No.
Come on.
I'm working.
I'll say it.
I'm going to say I'm still at work. I'm still at work. There you go. I'm going to text that back and see if they notice what they did.
Fortunately, I have the power too.
I've received love notes from people thinking that they were, sending a love note to their loved one. And sadly, it was to me. And of course, I found it hysterically funny. So anyway, there you go. Super text line. By the way, it is President's Day. Is there a lot of people listening? Because it seems like there is. Usually on President's Day, there's like nobody. It's very uninspiring to wake up on a President's Day knowing that by and large most people are not working. A lot of people seem to be checking in, though, so thank you for that. I probably should have done more show prep. Totally kidding. Anyway, 615-737. Oh, apparently it was meant for me. I don't know, whatever. All right, well, I'm glad you're just leaving work. I don't know. Congratulations to you. I don't know what to say about that.
I still stand by saying get home safe, sweetie. Love you.
Nice. Okay, moving right along. 6:58 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, a lot of people did agree with me. We thought that Tom Hanks was better than the skit that they did on Saturday Night Live that I just described in the previous segment. So I think for a lot of people, we are just sort of over it. People are calling Tom Hanks. Would you call that a racist? Would you call that a racist portrayal of a Trump supporter. I don't know if I would call it a racist. I don't know. He's a white guy portraying a white guy being racist.
I'm sure there's a word for it. Stereotype, being
Dumb.
stereotypical.
Yeah, that's mine. That's mine is either it's like a trope or a stereotype, that kind of a thing. So, but at the end of the day, though, it is just really, really dumb. And it is interesting, though, too, because when you look at, and Sister Pamela pointed out, she sent me a text. One of the things that she said is there seemed to be a very uneasy feeling in the audience. Like it was sort of like a hesitating, sort of like a courtesy laugh, kind of like what I get sometimes from you folks. It seemed to be like an uneasy courtesy laugh. But I think that people understand. The people in that audience certainly understand that what Donald Trump is doing right now is to help all Americans, regardless of color, regardless of religion, regardless of anything else. If you are an American, you should be absolutely thrilled with the amount of money that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are saving. So why does Tom Hanks and Saturday Night Live, why do they continue with their absurdity and their stupidity? It's like, it's like they didn't learn anything from the election, which is just fine by me. It is 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 7 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got a traffic report coming up here, but weather at the top of our news. The return of winter weather for the Middle Tennessee area. Well, it's looking like it should hit us sometime tomorrow, but much of our Tuesday will stay dry. The cloudy conditions and highs in the upper 30s. However, the first snow, yes, that four-letter word, snow. The first snow showers expected to arrive tomorrow night, especially over in the Clarksville area, northwest Middle Tennessee, as well as parts of southern Kentucky. Widespread snowfall expected tomorrow night and into Wednesday morning. 1 to 2 inches of snow expected across most of the mid-state, but some areas north of the metro and west could end up getting between 2 and 5 inches of snow. Yeah, travel on Wednesday morning could be rather dicey. Well, Kentucky, they have been getting hit hard. Deadly and devastating floods across much of the southeast, but Kentucky seems to be getting the worst of it.
Rescue operations underway in hard-hit Kentucky after at least 9 people were killed, including 1 child, when more than 8 inches of rain battered parts of the state.
Every time we get a good rain, it floods, every time.
Prompting more than 1,000 water rescues. In Pikeville, flooding tearing apart roads. And in Jackson, cars left abandoned, the storm leaving them submerged in water. President Trump approving an emergency declaration for the state.
This morning, here in Nashville, a man was arrested. This happened very early this morning. He was accused of firing a rifle inside a home. That's according to Nashville police. Metro said the SWAT team was called in after police heard a shot fired. That was inside the home. This occurred near Pennington Bend and Lock 2 Road. A woman and a young child were inside the home at the time. Police said that thankfully neither one of them was hurt. This all started after the woman's family was concerned and called police for a welfare check. And when the police got there, the man's husband came out of the house and was brandishing a rifle. Police then hid behind their cars for cover. Then they heard a shot fired inside the home. After the SWAT team was called, the police obtained 2 warrants for aggravated assault for the woman's husband. He refused to surrender, but it was at about 3 o'clock this morning the SWAT team got inside the home and arrested the man. He's charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault. They've not released his name as of yet. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Well, looking at our traffic cameras and other resources, traffic looking mighty smooth this morning. And, of course, that due to the federal holiday with it being President's Day. But, yeah, we're looking good this morning. Hey, we've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.706 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And welcome on into your President's Day. We've got Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson. He'll be joining us at 7:35. Going to speak to him about a lot of state business. And it is, of course, again, President's Day. There's a lot of folks that are going to be heading out to the state capitol at noon today. And they'll be celebrating not my President's Day. They're going to be in front of the state capitol. They're going to be doing all their chants. They'll probably have their silly drums. But you know what? It's going to be kind of cold. So we'll see how long the protest or the rally actually happens, because they are saying Donald Trump is not my president. And we'll be sure to cover that, I'm sure. By the way, don't forget, just announced over the weekend, March 4th, we're going to be having a big station event. Looking forward to it. It's going to be at the Nashville Palace. Donald Trump speaking to the joint session of Congress. Again, March 4th, going to be a live broadcast. Murphy will be there in the afternoon. We'll all be there as well. Chad Benson, Chris Hand, again, Matt Murphy, and yours truly. Find information at our website, 997WTN.com. Would really like to see you there. Now, just so you know, the media is up to their same old tricks, and I've got details straight ahead on Super Talk. We want you to watch us on YouTube and Facebook, and also when you're there, like and subscribe to the page, and also take the Daily Dan poll. Now, the Daily Dan poll today was inspired by a guy named Kevin who asked me on social media, Dan, what do you think of this story? The story is that the state of Tennessee, they're talking about Mike Sparks is wanting to lower the minimum age of school bus drivers. Right now, that age is 25. He wants to drop it down to the age of 21 years old. We spoke about this a little bit earlier. I'll probably pick up on the subject a little bit later on in the program. But do you agree or disagree that that should be lowered to the age of 21? We are in a dire shortage of school bus drivers here in the state of Tennessee, and by the way, nationwide as well. So, KGB, how are the numbers looking?
Right now, no is at 77% to the 23% yes. So again, a majority say no to lowering the age to 21.
Okay, so everybody likes it at the age of 25. We raised it up to the age of 25 a few years ago after a horrible crash, and 6 elementary school kids, if I'm not mistaken, it was 6, were killed in a school bus crash, and that is why they raised it to the age of 25. All right. 60 Minutes. Now, everybody knows what's going on in Washington, D.C., right? Everybody knows that Donald Trump has absolutely turned Washington, D.C. on its ear. People are getting fired left and right. There's a lot of people that are not having contracts renewed. Probationary employees are being let go as well. And I think basically what Trump is trying to do is he's trying to get his arms around all of these federal employees. And so now you have all across the media, the leftist media, you're seeing stories and interviews of people who are, upset that they were let go, terminated by Donald Trump. Now, the question is, what is the real story with some of these folks? 60 Minutes had an interview, and there are 2 people that were supposedly fired by Donald Trump, mean Elon Musk. Well, I'll tell you what the rest of the story is coming up here in a second. But I want to play this audio, this, pearl-clutching, crying audio of these two federal employees, air quote, fired by Donald Trump.
People are really scared. I think that, 12 days ago, people knew where their next paycheck was coming from. They knew how they were going to pay for their kids' daycare, their medical bills, and then all gone overnight.
All gone overnight for Christina Dry and Adam Dubard, fired this month in the chaotic shutdown of foreign aid distributed by the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID. More than 8,000 USAID employees were sent home by the administration.
They're not looking for competency. They're not looking for if you're good at your job. They're looking for pure loyalty tests. And if you don't give it, you will be punished.
And they had to leave the building. And these are folks who had decades and decades of public service serving USAID across administrations, from, George Bush to Obama to the first Trump administration. And they were never able to walk back in the building again.
There was no process. No one explained to them why they were being relieved.
To my knowledge, they received an email, and then if they didn't leave the building, they were escorted out of the building.
So it turns out they actually were not employees. They were a couple of communications consultants who were never actually employees of USAID. And apparently, and this is fairly typical, by the way, where they have contracts, and when a new administration comes in and a contract ends up expiring and the new administration doesn't pick it up. But beyond all that, I think part of my frustration with all of this is that these people could not work in the private sector because they're clearly snowflakes. Because I hate to break it to you, and Jay can certainly attest to this, in the private sector, in radio, you wake up one morning and your radio station is sold.
No kidding.
And they'll show you the door. All of a sudden, there's a what do they call it, an LMA, a local management agreement.
Right.
And new managers come in, and everybody's fired. It doesn't matter how good your ratings are. It doesn't matter if you are good at your job. None of it matters. They'll come in and they'll fire you. And that happens not only at radio stations, that happens at television stations, and that happens at big corporations all across America when there's maybe a hostile takeover. So I don't understand what the point is that they're trying to prove here. People I don't relish people losing their job. But the reality is that USAID, you got these two crying, oh, we worked under Obama, and we worked under the first Trump administration, and we worked under Bush. Okay, but what happened under Joe Biden? That's the point. What happened under Joe Biden was an absolute travesty. And so I hate to break it to you, but if there's a lot of problems with the company that you work with, the agency that you work with, or whatever, then heads are going to roll when there's a new manager that comes in.
There's no segment of the workforce that isn't affected by things like this.
Of course.
Come on.
And you know what? The vast majority of the American people agree that USAID, they have wasted, and all these other agencies as well. It's not just USAID. There's a bunch of different agencies that have been under Joe Biden, that have been spending stupidly. And so they can cry all they want. And here, I'm going to tell you what my worry is with what Donald Trump is doing, because you folks always dare me to say something negative about Donald Trump. I do all the time. My worry about Trump is that there's going to be so much cutting at such a frenetic pace that we're actually going to cut stuff that does good. That's my worry. I want to make sure that we save the expenditures, Jay, that actually does good.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of spending through USAID that is good.
Yeah, things may kind of get swept up in the whole house cleaning. Yep. I also wonder, are enough people being laid off that it will bump up the employment rate? I mean, are we looking at that many people?
Do you mean
the unemployment rate?
Okay.
Yeah. The unemployment rate.
It might. Yeah. But when they release unemployment numbers, one of the things that they do is they'll look at the categories of employees that have lost their jobs. So they'll do like manufacturing, they'll do retail, they'll do government workers as well. So if the unemployment rate goes up and it's federal employees, well, guess what? A lot of people are going to say, good. And you know what? Here's the deal. There is a lot of fat within the federal government. So we do need to make sure that we are spending money appropriately. Again, I'm just saying, if there's grants or funding that goes to things like that are legit, cancer research and that kind of thing, well, then hopefully they slow down and they say, okay, we're not going to pay $2.3 million for strengthening independent voices in Cambodia. But if, let's say, there's a hospital that is doing legit and good and meaningful and impactful cancer research, well, then I think that is a good thing that USAID should continue to fund as long as we know exactly where that money's going and is it money that is accountable and that it's not listed as cancer research, but in reality, they're researching, trans or LGBTQ or some of that other nonsense. It is 7:16. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Yeah, Dan, again, with it being President's Day, our roadways are looking pretty darn clear. So nothing really to worry about. We've got traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, 7:16 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As far as your weather goes, I'm debating whether or not I should play some audio that just came my way. Apparently, a lot of these some of these employees were fired via phone message. Some people have been fired by text. These folks were actually apparently fired by not only phone, but it's like a phone recording. I'm going to play it. Weather today, high of 38, cloudy all day, and we've got some snow coming in Tuesday night into Wednesday. Your complete forecast is coming up on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We are in, I have not previewed this, like the true Marconi winning broadcaster that I am. I'm going to go ahead and play this live on the air.
I'm excited.
This is from the Citizen Free Press, and this is audio of termination message to OPM employees. This is what it sounded like.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me today. This is a difficult conversation, and I want to be direct while also ensuring that you have all the information and support that you need. As you know, your position has been subject to a probationary trial period, which is standard practice to assess whether employees meet the necessary performance and conduct expectations for continued employment. You will receive your termination notice via email shortly, and it will include the reason for termination. As a result, your employment with the Office of Personnel Management will end today. Your physical and IT system access will be deactivated by 3 p.m. Eastern today, and we ask that you gather your personal belongings and exit the premises by 3 p.m. Eastern as well.
There you go. Fired by automated voice message. It's almost like being broken up by text, isn't it? Anyway, moving right along. Sorry, KGB. I know, still too soon? Got it. Anyway, so you have a lot of people now that are upset about that. And as you can imagine, they would be. But it's not like they didn't know this was coming. Also, by the way, again, those are probationary employees. These are employees that had either just been hired, they've been hired a few months ago, they were going through the probationary process. So, I don't know. Again, I want people to be let go if their jobs are not impactful. And if there's a lot of fat and a lot of waste there within the federal government, then yeah, those folks do need to be let go. I agree, by the way. KGB said over the when we were playing the audio, too bad it wasn't Trump. Just on a loop. You're fired. See, wouldn't that be funny? No, it wouldn't be funny. Listen, there's got to be some humanity in this. There does need to be some humanity. So a lot of these people, they're shocked. They're going through a thing. I don't take pleasure in anyone ever getting fired. But again, not to belabor the point, but a lot of these federal employees, they've been working in the federal government for a long time. And this is the way that it happens in real life. This is the way that it happens in businesses all across America. There is some great audio. Have you heard it? I'll see if I can play it and clean it up. See if you can, KGB, find me the audio if you could. Jamie Dimon. You all know who he is? He got on a conference call with hundreds or thousands of his employees. And he's a well-known, he's not, I don't think he's on Shark Tank, but he's one of these, kind of media guys, and he runs businesses, corporate CEO and these kinds of things. And he got on a call, and apparently there was a lot of complaining about people who didn't want to come back to the office because everybody was working from home. Kind of like what we're seeing. Trump is sort of setting the stage, right? Because you have all of these people who are working from home in the federal government. There's a lot of waste. Stuff's not getting done. And Trump is like, get your butt back to work. Well, now corporations are doing the same thing. Our company did that years ago. And so Jamie Dimon, he got on the phone with all of these employees. And he basically, I think there's a lot of curse words, and so we got to clean it up. But he basically told them that productivity is down. And because productivity is down, you are going to be coming back to the office. And if you want to quit, quit. We don't have slavery in this country. So if you want to quit, by all means, quit. And I absolutely love that audio. I'll see if we can clean it up and play it here before the end of the program. It is 7:21 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here, and springtime is just around the corner, and you need to get your yard ready for barbecues and playing catch. Now, my friends at Save-A-Tree, they can help you do just that. Now, this is my company for tree care, lawn care. They do all things as it relates to your backyard and your front yard. They can help with the shrubs as well. Now, they came out to my house, Save-A-Tree. They came out to my house, and I needed my crepe myrtles pruned, my shrubs cleared, and I'm telling you what, I'm going to use them. This is a great company that came out on Friday. Now, how about you? What can they do to make your yard look and function better? They can reshape and trim your trees to make them healthier and stronger. They can save the shrubs and whack the weeds. Now, you might even win Yard of the Month with Save-A-Tree. So if you want to upgrade the yard, get with my company, Save-A-Tree. They are your tree shrub and lawn experts. So, see how beautiful your yard can be. Set up your own evaluation at saveatree.com. Spelling is important. Saveatree. Saveatree.com. Saveatree.com. You can also simply dial pound 250 on your smart device and say the word Save-A-Tree. That's pound 250, keyword Save-A-Tree. And again, Saveatree. Saveatree.com. 727, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Welcome on into President's Day. Of course, the left will say, oh, it's not my President's Day. As a matter of fact, they're all going to be at the state capitol here in Nashville later on today at noon. I'm really looking forward to seeing how many people show up. It's going to be really cold. And we all know that when it's really cold, the liberals don't like to go out and hold their signs and, do their little chants. And so we'll see what happens. I'm going to speak with State Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson coming up at 7:35. We do have a lot to discuss there, and we'll find out from Senator Johnson where we are on a number of different state issues, including his thoughts on lowering the minimum wage of bus drivers from 25 down to 21. A lot of people on the super text line really chiming in on that one, and people saying, you know what? Here's the deal. Is that we are within a massive shortage, and these are folks that they do take some training. And so, it's something that we need to keep them at 25. Other people saying, no, we're in a shortage, and so we need to lower it so that we could get more bus drivers. So we'll talk to Senator Johnson about that. Super Text line has been very busy this morning. As I said, a lot of people have a lot of opinions on all of that, so we'll continue to cover that as well. We're talking about Jamie Dimon and what he said to employees who were upset because he was going to make them go back to work. We did find a little snippet of this, and this is what it sounded like.
Not paying attention, not reading your stuff, and if you don't think that slows down efficiency, creativity, creates rudeness, and stuff, it does, okay? And when I found out that people are doing that, you don't do that in my meetings. You're going to meet with me. You got my attention. You got my focus. I don't bring my phone. I'm not sending texts to people, okay? It simply doesn't work, and it doesn't work for creativity. It slows down decision-making, and don't give me the work from home Friday works. I call a lot of people Friday. They're not a person to get a hold of.
Yeah, that was it.
All
That was
right.
a little snippet we got, but that was juicy.
Listen, he's telling them, imagine if that was your boss talking to you. And when those people are complaining about, the fact that he's forcing them to come into work, and Jamie Dimon is saying, F you, you will come back into work because productivity is down. He's got every right, and you have every right to quit, just like Donald Trump has every right to fire federal employees. It is 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 7:30. I'm Jay Harper, and I've got your top stories here. Yeah, we got a big weather change coming, but first, let's get to what has been happening in Kentucky as a severe winter storm has flooded large parts of Kentucky over the weekend. 8 people have passed away in Kentucky. The governor there saying hundreds of people had to be rescued throughout the storm, and thousands more remain without power. And according to ABC's Faith Abube, they may not be done.
Parts of Kentucky right now can't seem to catch a break. President Trump signed a disaster declaration over the weekend to help bringing even more resources to them, bringing rescuers from other states as well. The governor there, Andy Beshear, has been begging for more resources. So it seems like he has that. But these resources are going to be stretched over the next several days.
We now move overseas, where a deadly terror attack in Austria has left a teenager dead and 5 people injured. Police have arrested a suspect they say was inspired by ISIS.
Officials say a 23-year-old man from Syria used a folding knife in the main square of a city in the south called Villach. He started stabbing indiscriminately, killing a 14-year-old boy and injuring 5 others. Now, the Interior Minister is saying the suspect has links to ISIS and radicalized himself online. He's now charged with murder and multiple attempted murders. Now, this is the second suspected ISIS-inspired attack in Austria in recent years.
Now back here in Middle Tennessee, Clarksville Fire and Rescue responded to more than a dozen rescues after flooding from this weekend's storms. 2 were rescued from a truck that got stuck on a flooded roadway Saturday night. Then a woman also had to be rescued. She was stuck in a car that got flooded out just after 6 o'clock yesterday morning. The Clarksville Rescue Chief says that so far they've pulled 27 people out of their homes just yesterday alone. And as the rescues continue, the city of Clarksville said more homes could be impacted by the cresting of the Red River at Port Royal. Finally, let's get to our market numbers report. It's brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. They can be found online at beaconcm.com.
U.S. markets are closed for President's Day, but investors are looking ahead to Wednesday's release of minutes from the Federal Reserve's January meeting. Those notes may indicate expected impacts from planned trade tariffs. Stocks were mixed headed into the long holiday weekend, though. The Dow Jones sank 165 points Friday to close at 44,546, while the Nasdaq Composite added 0.4%. The Standard & Poor's 500 finished Friday about where it began. Egg prices continue to soar, rising another 40 cents to $7.74 a dozen in the past week nationally. The Department of Agriculture says prices are not likely to fall as farmers continue to struggle with bird flu outbreaks in their flocks. Bad weather, wildfires, and creeping inflation drove down sales at the nation's fast food restaurants to start the year. That's after Burger King, McDonald's, and Popeyes saw strong results in the fourth quarter of 2024, erased in January 2025.
That is the latest news, traffic, and weather. There next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Look at Jay, 7:33, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Dan Mandis here for USS, United Structural Systems. Man, we had a lot of rain over the weekend. Got some snow coming in as well. Tuesday night and Wednesday. That is a lot of moisture. Is your basement, is your crawl space waterproofed? Now, if it's not, then you're going to find a whole bunch of water down there, and that could lead to all kinds of catastrophes like mold and wood rot and the need for structural repair. Now, my friends at USS, United Structural Systems, they have over 30 years of experience in basement and crawl space waterproofing. There's a lot of water that's coming. There's a lot of water we had a drop over the last couple of days. You need to make sure that you're ready for all of that. They can also help you out with basement wall stabilization and foundation repair. USS inspections are absolutely free, and we won't sell you any unnecessary repairs. They are simply here to help. We guarantee our best. Call USS at 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855. You can always find them online, USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out.
We have had an incident pop up in the Smyrna area. A crash has the right shoulder blocked. 24 westbound at the Rocky Fork Road overpass. Apparently a car ran off the road and is over in the trees there. But not really affecting traffic all that much on this federal holiday. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
7:35, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. And listen, guys, if you're feeling tired, motivation just isn't there, maybe some weight gain and muscle loss, well, these could all be signs of low testosterone. And it's time to find out for sure with my friends at Low T Center. Now, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple test. And with their on-site lab, you're going to get your results back immediately. Now, this isn't your typical doctor's office. No, they specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each individual patient. And they've been helping patients for over a decade, and their treatment plans are optimized for each patient, personalized just for you. There's nothing standard about Low T Center. Everything is customized for you. And by the way, for current patients, Low T Center offers you a $150 referral credit for each new patient that you refer. And at Low T Center, you also get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare. 737, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Hope you're doing well. Happy President's Day to you. A lot of folks not working. I am, and I appreciate Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson checking in with us. Senator, always great to have you on. I'm sure that you know that there is going to be a Not My President rally or protest at the state capitol, supposedly today at noon. A bunch of TDSers, I would say. What do you folks do to prepare for all that?
Well, good morning, Dan. Always good to be with you. Happy President's Day. I'm celebrating today the fact that we have Donald Trump in the White House.
Yep.
And I think most Tennesseans are doing that as well. I love the First Amendment. I love the fact that people can express their views even when they disagree with me. I've been a protester. I protested at the state capitol, protested against the state income tax years ago, and now I have been protested, and today people are going to do that. We have amazing state troopers that do a great job allowing people to express their First Amendment rights and exercise their right to free speech, but also protecting the Capitol. And you're right, the Capitol is actually closed today, so there won't be a lot of people there to listen to them.
So there's a number of issues I want to talk to you about. One of the ones that we're talking about today, it's actually the Daily Dan poll, which you don't know, but it's a poll on YouTube. If you watch us on YouTube, like and subscribe, you can take the Daily Dan poll. Today's poll is about lowering the bus driver age to 21. Right now it is 25, as you perhaps know. Mike Sparks has come up with the idea. I think he's actually filed legislation where he wants to lower that back down to the age of 21. Again, right now it is the age of 25, the minimum age. There is a massive shortage of bus drivers here in the state of Tennessee. So what do you think? I mean, as a Senate Majority Leader, is that something you could get behind, lowering the minimum age to 21?
It is, Dan. I think we should empower our local school boards. I trust them to make responsible decisions. Obviously, anyone who applies for that position is going to have to submit to a drug test, to a background check. I trust our local administrators at the local level. You're right. We have a significant shortage. Think about this. We have 21, 22, 23-year-olds flying airplanes for the U.S. military. They're driving tanks. They're driving heavy equipment. Certainly, I trust our local school folks to make those decisions and do adequate checks to make sure that even if someone is below the age of 25, that they're responsible enough to fulfill that job, because we do have a significant shortage.
Governor Lee has proposed a $1 billion grant to tackle our $30 billion road projects backlog. Number one, is that enough? Which, I mean, clearly just do the math. That's $29 billion short, but it'll help. But what do you think the priorities will be? Does the governor, number one, where's that money going to come from? But number two is, what will that $1 billion be used for if he can utilize it?
Sure, Dan. First of all, let's set the stage a little bit. The way we pay for road projects in the state of Tennessee, and that's both the maintenance to maintain the existing roadways we have, and also for new construction, to widen roads, to build new roads, to add interstate interchanges, things of that nature. The way that has traditionally been funded is through the gas tax. Every time you or your listeners or I fill up our car with gas, we're paying a certain number of cents in federal gas tax and state gas tax. That state gas tax goes into a dedicated fund and can only be used to maintain roads. Kind of makes sense, because the more you drive, the more gas you buy, and so the more you're contributing to our roads. Also, Tennessee is one of the most traversed states by out-of-state drivers. If you've ever been on I-40 going to Memphis or to Knoxville, you know how many trucks are out there on the road. So those trucks and the truck drivers, they're buying diesel. They may be from out of state, but they're buying diesel in Tennessee, and they're paying diesel tax to help us maintain our roads. That's a good system. Unfortunately, though, it's not keeping up. If you drive a car today, there's a good chance you're getting better gas mileage than you did 20 years ago. So you may be driving the same number of miles, but you're buying fewer gallons of gas. And so the system we have to pay for roads is not keeping up. And so what we've done over the last several years is supplement that fund. The governor is proposing an additional $1 billion into the road fund this year, but just 2 years ago, we put $3 billion into the road fund. Another thing the governor's proposing this year is diverting another tax that you pay when you buy tires. Every time you buy tires, there's a specific tax that's added onto that purchase. That generates about $80 million a year ongoing, and that's been going to the general fund. The governor's proposing putting that into the road fund as well. So we have the existing funding mechanism. It's not keeping up, and so we're supplementing it with general fund revenue. I support doing that, and thankfully Tennessee is in a fiscal position that we have the excess revenue to do that. We're not raising taxes. We're not taking money from any other source. We're not robbing Peter to pay Paul, if you will. We've got the excess revenue. We also passed the Transportation Modernization Act a couple of years ago, which I've been on your show talking about, which is going to streamline the way these road projects are built and hopefully get them done for less money. So we haven't completely solved the problem yet, but this additional $1 billion is going to go a long way to helping relieve the traffic congestion we have in Middle Tennessee.
There is talk as well about repealing Tennessee's grocery tax. It was proposed, but it was not included in the governor's budget. Questions are now being asked, it was in the Tennessean, if the Senate will actually bring this up.
I am 1,000% adamantly opposed to repealing the grocery tax. And let me tell you why, Dan. The thing that makes Tennessee work and makes us the best fiscally managed state in America, and we've been designated that by numerous outside third-party entities, we are the best fiscally managed state in America. We're the lowest tax state, and we're the least indebted state in America. We have AAA credit ratings, meaning all three credit ratings agencies have given us a AAA credit rating. One of the reasons is because we get the vast majority of our money through a consumption tax. And that what makes that consumption tax work, Dan, is that everybody chips in. No matter how much money you make, the richer you are, the more you buy, the more sales tax you pay. But even if you're on the lower end of the spectrum from an income standpoint, you're chipping in a little bit. That's the problem with our federal income tax is you got too few people pulling the wagon and too many people riding in the wagon. A broad-based consumption tax, including paying a little bit of tax on your groceries, makes that tax applicable to everybody. So even the person with a smaller amount of income is contributing a small amount into the to help make our government run. That's what makes it work. So I'm adamantly opposed to abolishing the tax on groceries.
All right, Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson joining us. One last question here. I'm a big advocate for trade schools, massive advocate for trade schools. Headline is Governor Lee wants to send students to Tennessee trade schools. The governor's proposal calls for $12 million each year out of the Tennessee Lottery Fund to pay for these scholarships to attend Tennessee colleges of applied technology. I love the idea, but some folks raising the alarm that we're running out of lottery funds, as they're saying there's a lot of straws there in that cup. And so the question now, number one, is there going to be enough for the Hope scholarships? Because you and I both know Hope scholarships for in-state four-year universities also come out of the lottery funds. And you also have lottery funds from sports gambling, which is going towards building and repairing schools. And according to Channel 5, lottery sales overall are down. And so all that to say, there is concern, they say cautious concern, about the fact that there may not be enough for this $12 million to send folks to trade school in the state of Tennessee.
Well, like you and like the governor, I'm a big fan of trade schools. We need pipe fitters, we need welders, we need HVAC repairmen and women. We need folks that do things with their hands. Not everyone needs to go to a four-year college and get an English degree. And we've got a very robust trade school system. We call them colleges of applied technology all across the state of Tennessee. We need more kids going to those types of schools. With regards to the lottery fund, the lottery was established a little over 20 years ago. And we have been very, very conservative with that. Other states have made the mistake of overpromising and under-delivering, and we haven't done that in Tennessee. We have a huge, massive surplus reserve fund in our lottery. We've also added the sports wagering money, which you just mentioned, and we did pass legislation during the special session that's going to allow some of that money, the taxes generated from that sports wagering, to go to our public schools for capital projects. We did, however, put a mechanism in there, Dan, that says that if there is any shortfall in the traditional lottery that funds the Hope Scholarship, that funds Tennessee Promise, and it funds these scholarships to colleges of applied technology, that it will come from this surplus revenue from the Sports Wagering Council. And we've made that very clear to even the folks that will be receiving these capital dollars from that sports wagering fund. So I think we've dotted all of our I's, crossed all of our T's. We've got the mechanisms in place. Again, we are the most conservative, best fiscally managed state in America. We know how to manage these revenues and make sure that we don't overpromise and to not be able to deliver on those promises that we've made. So I'm very comfortable with what the governor's proposed. We'll keep an eye on it, and if we need to tweak it along the way, we certainly will.
All right. Have a great day. State Majority Leader Jack Johnson joining us on Super Talk 99.7. And as always, appreciate your analysis and your input and your availability for Nashville's Morning News.
Thanks, Dan.
All righty. You know what's interesting? I got this 40-minute audio montage.
The people demand and deserve an
that is
active
Bill Clinton
government on their side. But they don't want a government that wastes money, a government that costs more and does less. They voted for change. They wanted a literal revolution in the way government operates.
This is Bill Clinton.
And now you and I must deliver.
So he is going on. This is a 40-minute speech on C-SPAN, and he's talking about federal job cuts.
And cut costs by $10 million per year.
Yep.
Today I have called you, the members of the cabinet,
went through, and this was, this is again 40 minutes long. I'll see if I can post this. But Bill Clinton and Al Gore, here's what they say. Everybody's freaking out about Doge, and everybody's freaking out about Elon Musk and Donald Trump and so forth. In this compilation, in his first weeks, Bill Clinton ordered a 100,000 job reduction in government. 100,000. Now, was there a hue and cry like we're seeing right now? No, of course not. Over 8 years, he cut 380,000 federal jobs, a 16% decrease. This is a Democrat. When you want to talk about how the Democrat Party has changed, all you got to do is look back at Bill Clinton. They say that how did he reduce those $380,000 federal jobs? They say it was largely driven by the Reinventing Government initiative, spearheaded by Al Gore, to streamline operations and reduce bureaucracy. And the result, the deficit was erased. The U.S. ran a budget surplus for the first time in decades. Today, annual interest payments on the national debt have doubled in 4 years, reaching $1.17 trillion, now exceeding the entire U.S. defense budget. And so, as they say in this story, history proves that this can be done. America is $36 trillion in debt. So why don't we just learn from the past? I can't believe I'm going to say this. We need to learn from the Democrats. And we have. And that's why Donald Trump is wanting to do what he's calling for and currently doing, which is cutting jobs, cutting federal jobs, cutting federal waste, and cutting down on all of that bureaucracy. And that's what you need to do if you're possibly going to try to even come close to thinking about balancing the federal budget. It is 7:51 on Super Talk 99.7. I'll tweet out that 40-minute speech on Bill Clinton. Actually, it's 41:02 of Bill Clinton saying we need to cut jobs, we need to cut spending, and we need less bureaucracy, and we need a more streamlined government. That, my friends, is Bill Clinton. 7:51, and Jay Harper is in for Joan Jones. Jane. What's your name? Jay Harper.
Know. Yeah.
See, here's what's funny. I've screwed up at times, and I've called Joan Jane. Now, I wasn't calling you Jane. I was calling Joan Jane, and she's not even here. So now I'm saying hello to you, Jay. And Jay, for the love of God, get me out of this. What's
Okay,
happening at 8?
Thank you, Don. Not a problem. Hey, we've got a weather change coming up for the mid-state, and these poor folks in Clarksville, man, they are dealing with flooding. We'll have those stories and more coming up at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay. 7:52 on Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here. And listen, we're all getting older. And so many of us simply are not where we want to be. You know, we can eat right, we can exercise, but the reality is that sometimes we need a little help. And my friends at Contours in Cool Springs, they are here to help both men and women lose body fat and so much more. Now, their ultra slim body contouring guarantees that you are going to lose 2 inches or that first treatment is absolutely free. It is not invasive, it doesn't hurt, and the results are instant. Now, I've gone through the process, it did work. Now, I know they also do facials, and their facials are revitalizing, and their red light therapy, it is going to tighten your skin and restore your natural glow. Now, listen, Valentine's Day is over. Guys, ladies, if you shanked it and you forgot to get your significant other something for Valentine's Day, call Contours. Remember, it's for both men and women, and you should check them out because one of their red light therapy facials would make a great, even belated Valentine's Day gift. So call them, 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960 today. You can always find them online, ContoursLLC.com to schedule, CONTOURS, ContoursLLC.com to schedule.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
$7:56, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Very astute super texters reminding me, hey, don't forget that Obama also wanted to cut federal jobs.
Budget reform is not an option. It's a necessity.
The American people are entitled to transparency.
We can't sustain a system that bleeds billions of taxpayer dollars on programs that have outlived their usefulness or exist solely because of the power of politicians, lobbyists, or interest groups.
Literally, that is USAID. That is Obama and Biden when he made sense. USAID. That is clearly what Donald Trump, I should say, what Barack Obama seems to be describing.
They're entitled to be able to figure out where their dollars are going, and they're entitled to accountability to make sure that we're using the dollars for what we said it was for.
We are going to go through our federal budget, as I promised during the campaign, page by page, line by line.
I don't think they ever did that.
Eliminating those programs we don't need and insisting that those that we do need operate in a sensible, cost-effective way. What should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody.
We hope to be instilling an entire new culture that not only our administration, but every succeeding administration will in fact pursue.
Oh, my Lord, the irony. That was Joe Biden talking about how this administration and each succeeding administration needs to ensure that our federal tax dollars are spent responsibly. And it was his administration that had all that crazy USAID spending, which we've all been talking about. So the irony is just delicious, isn't it? But it is Joe Biden, and clearly Joe Biden, he forgot, not real surprising with Joe, he forgot that he had campaigned way back when and served in an administration way back when that theoretically anyway, they talked about cracking down on wasteful, duplicative spending.
No amount of waste is acceptable, not when it's your money.
We all know that government can be inefficient. We all know that the bureaucracy can be bloated. We all worked in the fucking White House. We tried.
All right, so there you go. Got it. So you know what we're saying? We're saying that Obama and Biden have done, along with Bill Clinton way back when, they've all said that they wanted less spending, less nonsense, and a better use of our taxpayer dollars. They've all said it. So now the question has to be asked, why is everyone hyperventilating over Donald Trump and Elon Musk literally doing the same exact thing? I mean, just today, there's a new, because, you know, Doge keeps coming out with these, I don't know if you call them memes, but whatever they are, charts, whatever you'd call them. But all of the wasteful spending that we've seen over and over again, I'm not going to go through it again. I tweeted it out. You can follow me on X, at Dan Mandis Show. But suffice to say, the hypocrisy of the Democrats is clearly showing, because here we are playing you audio of Bill Clinton, Al Gore, Barack Obama, Joe Biden doing the same thing that Donald Trump is doing, only Trump is actually doing it. It's 8 o'clock on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 8 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We will have a traffic report and an official weather forecast coming up. Yeah, weather at the top of the news. The return of winter weather in the forecast for the middle of the week across the mid-state. Much of our Tuesday will stay dry and cloudy, with highs in the mid to upper 30s. The first snow showers, though, are expected to arrive tomorrow night, at least in far northwest Middle Tennessee and parts of southern Kentucky. Widespread snowfall expected tomorrow night and into Wednesday morning, with 1 to 2 inches of snow expected across much of the mid-state. Some areas, though, north and west of the city could end up with between 2 to 5 inches. We'll have an official weather forecast for you here shortly. Elon Musk, he is looking to reform at least 2 more federal departments. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio is reporting on what he's been up to.
ABC News has learned Doge requested access to an IRS data system that retains the personal tax information of millions of Americans. Sources say they have not been granted access yet. Today, Musk is expected to visit the Air Traffic Control Command Center to better understand what the FAA needs to modernize the system.
While snow is now in our forecast, Clarksville got hammered with those weekend storms, and Fire and Rescue has responded to more than a dozen rescues after those storms. 2 were rescued from a truck that got stuck on a flooded roadway Saturday night. A woman was also rescued She was stuck in a car. They got flooded out just after 6 o'clock yesterday morning. The Clarksville Rescue Chief said that so far they pulled 27 people out of their homes just on yesterday alone. And as the rescues continue, the city of Clarksville said that more homes could be impacted by the cresting of the Red River at Port Royal. That is the latest news. We've got traffic and some weather coming up for you. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Police are still working on a crash that happened on I-24 westbound at the Rocky Fork Road overpass. This is in the Smyrna area. The right shoulder's blocked. Apparently a car ran off the road. It's stuck over in the trees, but not really affecting traffic all that much. Other than that, we're looking pretty good this morning. Traffic and weather every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is going to be a huge week as far as foreign policy goes. Good morning, Dan Mandis here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Donald Trump and foreign policy, it is starting to sound like the Russia-Ukraine war is going to be coming to an end very soon. Steve Wickoff was on with Maria Bartiromo over the weekend, and they were talking about the big meetings that are going on this week. Donald Trump and, his administration apparently going to Saudi Arabia to speak to Vladimir Putin. Now, there's a lot of babying going on, and this is driving me nuts. So, and I'll get into the details on this, but just to let you know where I'm going in this segment, you've got Vladimir Zelensky, who is out there being and crying about not being invited to these meetings between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Because for Zelensky, he wants to be right there at the table with Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. And here's the thing, is that anybody who has ever dealt with this kind of a situation, maybe at work, you've had this situation where if you're like a manager and you've got an issue between two employees, you've got to go talk to one employee, you've got to go talk to another employee, you've got to figure out exactly what's going on, what's the lay of the land, and so forth. That's what Donald Trump is doing. He's spoken to Vladimir Zelensky by phone. He spoke to Vladimir Putin by phone. He's trying to figure out where everybody is at. And now he's going to go speak to Vladimir Putin in Saudi Arabia. And they're going to talk about what is next. Because these big meetings, I mean, they're designed to finally put an end to the war. You know who else is out there crying? The leaders of Europe. Now, the leaders of Europe, they have had 3 years to try to stop this damn thing. What have they done? Squat. So, of course, the critics are out there complaining because Donald Trump is actually trying to stop this war.
Well, I think Ukraine is part of the talks. The president had their president, Zelensky, on the phone this past week. I am pretty sure that a lot of our cabinet people, including Treasury Secretary Bessent, the Vice President, Mike Waltz, John Radcliffe, our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, have been meeting with various Ukrainian people at the Munich Security Conference. So I don't think this is about excluding anybody. In fact, it's about including everybody.
Well, you know, be that as it may, again, Steve Wickoff with the Trump administration, be that as it may, when America is bankrolling this war with Ukraine and Russia, we're bankrolling Ukraine's side. So if Donald Trump wants to go meet with Vladimir Putin by himself and baby Zelensky is not going to be at that meeting, he's going to have to deal with it. If Donald Trump gives Zelensky some direction, then Zelensky better listen.
But I think the beginning here is trust building. It's getting everybody to understand that this war does not belong continuing, that it should end. That's what the president has directed us to do, to negotiate a proper ending of this war. No more death. There's been too much already.
Yep.
That's what he said. And that's the direction, and that's what we're going to do.
So after 3 years, at the very least, at least Donald Trump is trying to get this process started. I don't think Biden ever spoke to Vladimir Putin. All Joe Biden did was write a blank check. That's all he did. Getting all mad. So now you have Donald Trump's team meeting with Vladimir Putin and the Russians, but Zelensky tells Meet the Press that he does want a seat at the table, which he feels that he has a right to, but I don't believe that he does.
We're not happy with it, but they can help with Russians, but not about this war without us. And that's why, and I think that what we need very closely to work and quick. I think we'll lose time now. So we're ready because the United States is the biggest strategic partner. We are ready not only to share our plan, we're ready for common plan with the President Trump. We have to discuss with Russians, and we will. And at the table, it's very important to hear America, Europe, Ukraine, and Russia.
All right, so that is Zelensky, and he also reiterated that he wants to be part of NATO and so forth. But, you know, he talks about how he's not going to accept any deal if he is not sitting at the table.
Can you accept any peace deal that is cut without Ukraine?
No.
And do you feel like you have a seat at the table right now?
I not only count on it, I'm sure that we have to be there, otherwise it's not acceptable. But if there is a decision without us, and Putin will go out from all our land, we will be in NATO, and Putin will be in the prison, so President Trump can do it without us.
So the question is, will the United States basically force Zelensky to give up land? That's what people are talking about, is whether or not Trump is going to, and I'm going to air quote here, take the side of Vladimir Putin and force Zelensky to give up land. Because that's obviously what Putin wants. He's trying to put the old USSR back together again. But Trump had the call with Zelensky, seemed to go well, and everybody put their cards on the table. This war has got to end, and it does seem like everybody agrees. There's a number of reasons why this war has to end. It has to end because the bloodshed and the carnage is awful. Everybody knows that. That's number one. Number two is that America is tired of bankrolling this. We just are. Doesn't mean we love Vladimir Putin by any stretch of the imagination, but you know what I love? I love our money staying in America. I love our money helping the people of America guard our borders. And so for Zelensky to demand a seat at the table, you know what's going on, right, in Ukraine? So Zelensky is feeling like his popularity, his support in Ukraine is going down. So part of what this is he's trying to save face in Ukraine by saying, I'm a big boy and I deserve a seat at the table. But I hate to break it to you, Zelensky, but this is how negotiating works. You speak to everyone involved, oftentimes separately, then you get everyone at the table, but you need to make sure that you're sort of in the ballpark first so that everybody can just be somewhat close to a solution. Because if you're not even close, then there's no point in having everybody at the table. Duh. So now, again, you have all these European leaders, and they're freaking out because they're not necessarily involved in these discussions either. They're upset. They're angry. Mike Waltz is Trump's national security advisor, and he says both Zelensky and Putin have confidence in one guy, and one guy only.
Both of them said in those back-to-back calls that only President Trump could get them to the table, only President Trump could drive peace. And, you know, this notion that our European allies haven't been engaged. President Trump also spoke with Macron this week. We have a visit with Prime Minister Starmer of the United Kingdom coming up. And we had no less than our Vice President, our Secretary of State, our Secretary of Defense, our Secretary of Treasury, who was in Kyiv personally, and our Special Envoy Kellogg, all in Europe this week, all engaging our allies.
Yeah, and you've got these European leaders, and apparently they are having this emergency meeting because they feel like they're not involved in this either. Well, you actually are involved. You're involved because you have not been involved in the last 3 years, and so Trump is just ignoring you. Because your inaction to stop this war means that you have been involved all this time because you didn't do anything to stop it. And so now, all of a sudden, here comes Donald Trump, and he wants to end the war. And, oh, my God, we can't have Donald Trump getting all the credit for ending this war. You know what? I would say to Europe, if this war does end up ending and it's because of Donald Trump, you bet your arse he's going to get credit for it. Absolutely, because he's the guy that said he campaigned on ending this war. Joe Biden wouldn't even talk to Vladimir Putin. He's a butcher. I understand that. But if you want to stop people from getting butchered in this war, then you've got to sit down, you've got to speak to Putin, you've got to speak to Zelensky, you've got to get them together. And bottom line is you got to tell Zelensky, you know what? You're either going to have to give up land or we're going to stop bankrolling this whole thing. And then you tell Vladimir Putin, if you dare that you try to take any more than the land that has been negotiated, then you will meet the might of America. That's how it needs to end. Because people are tired of this. They say to end this war with Trump taking the lead, it would be, and I agree, a huge win for America, and it would be a huge win for Europe. And they do see this end in sight. There was a story a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was Friday, whatever it was, but there's a story out there that says that Zelensky understands that he's going to end up giving up land. That's what he's going to have to do. But all these European leaders that are out there having this emergency meeting because Donald Trump is looking for an end to the war and they're not involved because they want to be part of what they believe is going to be a success.
Now, they may not like some of the sequencing that is going on in these negotiations, but I have to push back on this any notion that they aren't being consulted. They absolutely are. At the end of the day, though, this is going to be under President Trump's leadership that we get this war to an end.
I mean, listen, all of these folks had 3.5 years under Biden, right? Didn't they have all that time under Biden? And nobody did anything except write checks. And so one of the things that Mike Waltz says is that Trump wants to enter into some sort of an economic partnership with Ukraine. Part of that would be, and this is huge, and I think this is great, part of that would be to reimburse Americans for the billions that we've put into this war. Remember that Ukraine has a ton of rare earth elements that Donald Trump would love to make a deal for.
President Trump is clear it needs to come to an end, and there are key tenets that will drive these negotiations. Number one, it has to be a permanent end to the war, not a temporary end to the war. Number two, this can't be ended on the battlefield. This has turned into a World War I style meat grinder of human beings. Number three, I talked about how the structure of our aid has to change. And then number four, we're talking about economic integration going forward as the best arbiter of peace. All of those things are key underpinnings. And in terms of long-term military security guarantees, those have to be European-led.
Yeah, and Zelensky even said that Europe needs one unified military apparatus. That's what Zelensky says. A lot of people agree with that. And here's the deal. Zelensky has said that he does want this to end. And yeah, I absolutely agree that Europe needs to figure out. By the way, Poland is saying no way in heck they're going to have one united European army. But Zelensky says that that's one of the ways that they can collectively protect themselves against Vladimir Putin. We'll see if that ever does come to fruition. But
I think he wants to stop fighting. I see that. We spoke long and hard. They have a big, powerful machine. You understand that. And they defeated Hitler and they defeated Napoleon. You know, they've been fighting a long time. They've done it before. I think he would like to stop fighting.
Do you think he wants to hold Ukraine or just what do you think he wants?
No, I think he wants to stop. That was my question to him. Because if he's going to go on, that would have been a big problem for us. And that would have caused me a big problem because you just can't let that happen. I think he wants to end it, and they want to end it fast. Both of them. And Zelensky wants to end it too.
Well, listen, where there's a will, there's a way. And so we'll have to see what happens. That was Donald Trump, of course, outside of Air Force One. It is 8:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super text line is open, 615-737-9986. Do us a favor. Watch us on YouTube and like and subscribe to the channel. But you can find us anywhere. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on X. You can find us at 997WTN.com. Our videos are everywhere, and so you can check us out, watch us live, watch us in Memorex, whatever. But when you go to YouTube, that's my preferred way that you watch the show. You can also take the Daily Dan poll. And today's Daily Dan poll, do you agree with State Legislator Mike Sparks, who says that we should lower the minimum wage of school bus drivers from 25 down to the age of 21? And that is our Daily Dan poll. And so far, the numbers are?
Well, right now it's 75 to 25 no. So no is still in the lead with 75%, saying no, we should not lower it to 21.
All right, so a lot of folks say that we should keep it to 25. Appreciate it. 821 on Nashville's Morning News. What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? Now, if you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Dan Mandis here, and Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home's equity into cold hard cash so that you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Now, Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Now, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That is your money, and you ought to use it. Now, one client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, a couple of car loans, and a personal loan as well, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. Now, you can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act right now with no hard credit pull up front. You can always find them online. Tell them Dan told you to reach out, loanpronto.com. Call them, 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780. Get the money you need for anything. LoanPronto.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. 827, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. Hope you're doing well. It is Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here, and Jay Harper is in for Joan Jones. KGB is here as well. Tom Homan was making the Sunday rounds. He was on with Dana Bash, and he was asked about AOC. Now, if you don't know, AOC is doing everything she possibly can to warn illegal aliens, including the criminals, in her district and across America, how to watch out for ICE. And Homan was asked about that on State of the Union.
She said that she is just offering civil education and that you might be, quote, vaguely familiar with the U.S. immigration law, but that she's just doing what she needs to do to remind people the law of the land passed by congressional statute.
Vaguely aware of immigration law. I've done this since 1984. I forgot more about the immigration law than AOC will ever know. Matter of fact, the hearing a couple years ago, I had explained to her that entering the country illegally was actually a crime. So, I'm not going to play that game with her. I simply made a statement. When you sit down with people who are wanted by us, criminal aliens that have been ordered to be deported from the United States government, and ignore that order, if you and I ignored that order, we'd be sitting in prison. But they ignored an order from a federal judge. They're hiding in a home, and she's telling them not to open the door. Now, I'm not saying that's illegal. What I'm saying is, I asked the Attorney General, at what point is it impeding and what point is it not impeding? So I'm simply, as a board czar, asking the Office of the Attorney General, where does it draw the line? So we make sure we give ICE agents the proper standard when they go to these homes. They don't open the door. At what point can you open the door? At what point can't you open the door? Mm-hmm. So we just want to be sure that ICE officers are doing the right thing. So this is about talking to Attorney General, because every Attorney General interprets things different. What is your interpretation of impeding? Where's that line at? I think it's a responsible thing to do as a border czar of the United States, to make sure the men and women of ICE understand what they can and can't do.
You know what AOC doesn't understand? Do you know what AOC doesn't know? Or she knows and she's choosing to ignore it? The pain and suffering of the American people that have been impacted by people like her who favor illegal immigration and keeping bad guys in our country. Tom Homan is absolutely right. It is 8:30 on Nashville's Morning News on WTN.
Good morning. It is indeed 8:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We will get your traffic and weather to you here shortly. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he's in Saudi Arabia to kick off talks to try to end the war in Ukraine. ABC's Inez de la Catera has more from the foreign desk.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio touching down in Saudi Arabia and meeting with his Saudi counterpart ahead of expected talks with Russian officials to try and negotiate an end to the war in Ukraine. This comes after President Trump last week held what he said was a lengthy and productive phone call with Russian President Putin. On Sunday, Trump said he could meet Putin very soon.
A civil case accusing Sean Diddy Combs and Sean Jay-Z Carter of sexually assaulting an Alabama woman after the 2000 Video Music Awards when she was a teen has been dismissed. ABC's Aaron Katursky, he has the reaction.
Combs faces multiple other civil lawsuits that followed his arrest on criminal charges. Combs has denied every claim of sexual assault and sex trafficking, and his attorneys expressed confidence the lawsuit dismissed by the then 13-year-old is just the first of many that will not hold up in a court of law.
Chaos, confusion, and lack of communication. That's what 250 United Airlines passengers experienced when their flight to Ireland was diverted to Canada for a medical emergency. But the hours-long delay actually turned into days.
United Flight 23 from Newark to Dublin instead landed at St. John's International Airport in Newfoundland, Canada on Thursday because of a medical emergency. And then severe weather kept them there for several more days. Cardinal Timothy Dolan, the Archbishop of New York, was on board.
About halfway over the Atlantic, there was a medical emergency, and we ended up with you. And we're still here.
He still presided over Sunday Mass in Canada.
That's ABC's Trevor Alt reporting. The flight finally left yesterday, and passengers finally arrived in Dublin. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Thank you, Jay. Dan Mandis here. Friends, if you're new to Nashville or you've been here for a long time, but you need reliable garbage pickup, call my friends at J&J Services. There's a lot of companies out there, but J&J Services, they've been around for 20-plus years, and if you throw it away, they're going to take it. Now, they've got regular weekly trash pickup, construction sites, dumpster rental, and even commercial trash compactor services. If you toss it or crush it, J&J Services is here for you. Now, they'll work with you on pickup times, and yes, they are reliable, and yes, they'll supply you with porta potties as well. 2 decades of taking out the trash in Middle Tennessee. Call them for a free quote. That phone number is 615-599-7778, 615-559-599-7778. Their website is jnjservices.com. J&J Services, where they always keep it trashy.
Well, the only thing we're looking at the moment, some police activity. They've got some folks pulled over in Cheatham County. This would be Interstate 40 eastbound, just past exit 188. Aside from that, everything looking pretty smooth here in the metro. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
636, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here, and, somebody asked me the other day, do you know how many devices the average home has connected to their Wi-Fi network? It was way more than I thought. So I actually went home, and I counted how many connected devices I own. It is about 18, all to keep me connected to the good stuff. My streaming, my gaming, all my interneting, you name it, we have it out at the house. Now, Xfinity knows that the number of devices we have connected to our internet is growing by the year. That's why they engineered their gateways to handle hundreds of connected devices, and that is going on they're looking for ways to extend that as well as the year goes on. Now, right now, through March 23rd, get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for $35 a month for 12 months. 1 year with no annual contract, plus get free Wi-Fi equipment included. Now, make sure that your home Wi-Fi can handle everything you throw at it and then some. So find them online. Visit Xfinity.com. Call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. .837, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jay Harper's here. Hello, Jay.
Hello, Dan.
And KGB's here. Hello, KGB.
Hello.
Boy, the excitement is just brimming. I mean,
You can feel it. It's palpable.
Palpable.
Yes,
That's
palpable.
exactly right. Boy.
Just
All
don't
right.
ask me to spell palpable.
So we were doing a poll, and the poll was, should we lower the minimum age of bus drivers from the age of 25 down to the age of 21? And so that is the Daily Dan poll. So if you go to YouTube and watch us on Facebook, which, by the way, thank you for commenting on my Harry Potter sweatshirt, by the way, you people. Long live Gryffindor. Anyway.
I wasn't going to say anything about it.
So that was the Daily Dan poll. And
are you for it or are you against it?
You know what's so weird? I can make the argument either way. I don't really have a strong opinion on it, which I know is weird for a talk show host.
I feel like the 21-year-old out there that is responsible enough to drive the bus is the exception, not the rule.
Okay. So you for or again?
I'm just judging by how I drove at 21. I'm against it.
But you've got the training, and you've got to have the maturity. You've got to have all of the things that they do to make sure that your license is there.
I'm thinking back to myself and my closest friends at 21, and I'm opting out.
Yeah, you know what? People are pointing out, though, you can be a cop at 21.
This is true.
You can join the military at 21.
Fair.
So.
Fair.
Well, what did the KGB, what's the polling say?
Right now, we're still at 74% no to 26% yes. A majority say no to anyone driving under the age of 25 a bus.
Okay.
I think it has a lot to do with maturity, though. I think maturity has a lot to do with it.
There's a lot of mature kids out there.
Yeah, but like you got to be
young
patient. Can a 21-year-old be patient with a 16-year-old messing with them as they're driving?
I was the worst kid on the school bus.
Were you really?
I was the worst.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. What did you do on the school bus?
The buzzers, how you lift up the little emergency exit thing and it buzzes?
Yeah.
I would do Christmas carols on the way home before Christmas break with the buzzer.
How did you not get suspended? Did you ever get suspended from school?
A lot.
Did you?
A lot.
I never actually got suspended.
You never did?
Never once.
I feel like I did enough for both of us to be above average.
Really?
Yes.
I got suspended for hurting a kid playing two-hand touch football. I hit him. I touched him too hard apparently, and he's cried.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Tough guy over there.
Yeah.
You push him too hard, he fell to the ground.
Just bullying.
He was the bully. Granted, I did hit him pretty hard.
Did you do it on purpose?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, well there you go.
He was what's the word we can use on air?
He was a jerk.
Yeah.
You know what I did one time? You ever played dodgeball?
Oh yeah.
So there was a kid that I didn't like.
What'd she do?
It was a guy, and I don't even know what grade it was, but I got in so much trouble. So he fell to the ground. We're playing dodgeball. He fell to the ground, and I chose that moment to take that ball when this kid was he's defenseless.
He's down.
And I just, boom, right in his face with the rubber ball.
He's already out, Dan.
Stop. He's already
That's
dead.
what the vice president said. The vice principal said.
Vice president. Yes.
So, wait, who's the vice president? The original W was mad at you? I know that's too early.
No, I have no idea.
Who was the vice president when you were a kid?
Well, when?
When you did that.
I was probably 5th or 6th grade, which would make it, I have no idea what year. I'd have no idea what year. But that's all beside the point. I did get in trouble. I got paddled.
You got paddled?
Really?
Wow,
Listen, it was a Christian school. Oh.
Yep, I went to those.
Yeah, you know, Christian schools, man, they are, they can be tough.
How many paddles do you get for hitting a kid while he's down?
It felt like 1,000. I think it was about 5, but Mr. I think his name was Purdy. Mr. Purdy's paddle had holes in it.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Get that, no wind resistance.
No wind cushion at all, man.
So that makes it hurt more, I guess?
Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah. It does.
That's wild. Did they ever make you hold the 2 books and keep your nose in the corner?
What?
No.
No? I had to do that a couple times.
That sounds like Chinese water torture.
What is up with your guys'
Feels like
punishments
it.
as kids? It's so different now.
It's a different time.
What do they do to kids nowadays if they get in trouble? What do they do? Do kids even get in trouble in
No,
school?
no.
Yeah.
They ask them nicely.
Yeah.
They have a stern talking to them.
Stern talking?
They don't want them to become a Republican or conservative radio hosts.
And then they just pass them on to the next grade. That's what they do.
Yeah, there is that. All right, so you asked me when you came in, do I have the Tom Hanks thing?
Yes. Did you see Tom Hanks on SNL?
Oh, well, I saw the clips. And it's pretty bad. So I've got the audio. Now, Jay, this is so bad. It was at the top of the Daily Mail.
Yeah.
Right? It's a big website. And so do they still have it up there, Jay, as the top story?
Well, I'm looking right now, and yes, they do.
Okay. What's the headline?
It says Forrest Chump.
Forrest Chump. So here's what happened. Saturday Night Live, they have this, it's being described as a racist and disgusting portrayal of a MAGA supporter on the star-studded SNL 50. And so Doug made a return. Now, if you don't know who Doug is, have you seen the original?
I have not.
So Doug is a MAGA supporter played by Tom Hanks. He's got a MAGA hat in all this. And so they're playing this game, and I think it's called, is it Black Jeopardy?
It was Black Jeopardy.
Black Jeopardy. And so you got, a black host, Kenan Thompson, and a couple of other black contestants. Then you got the white guy, for whatever reason.
Yep.
MAGA Doug. And this is how it played out as they were doing this skit. It came out really bad. Here it is. Listen.
Oh, well, thank you. Hey, now speaking of church, can I say something? If more folks went to church, we wouldn't be in this mess we're in now.
You know what? I agree with you, Doug. I'd like to shake your hand, sir. Here we go.
So he's walking over to Doug.
No.
Oh, no. Oh, no. It's just a handshake. Yeah, it's just a handshake. Yeah, all right.
So Doug, portrayed by Tom Hanks, is either afraid of a black man or refuses to shake the hand of a black man. So that is, would you call that racist? It's like a stereotype.
I would
obviously.
call it racist, yeah.
Racist, stereotype. Some people using the term trope as well. And Thompson, of course, black, walking up to MAGA Doug to shake his hand. And it is a really bad look. And here's how that bit ended.
You're welcome at Black Jeopardy anytime.
All right. Well, thank you, my brother. Maybe I'll start a show for you to come on, and we'll call it White Jeopardy.
No. We don't need it. We don't need it.
Oh, well, thank.
So, here's how they describe it. This is from earlier. The Hollywood legend made a return as Doug, a clueless rube who wears a Make America Great Again hat and performs surprisingly well on a mock game show called Black Jeopardy. In the new version of the sketch, we just played it and so on and so forth. People lost their ever-loving minds.
Yep.
And they should, because it was really bad.
And this is their big special that they've been promoting for weeks. Everybody's got to see the big special. We're back. And then they go right to this.
Now, I said something earlier, and I know what you're going to say, but I said something earlier, which was, I thought Tom Hanks was better than this. I did. I thought that he was.
I thought he fled the country. I thought he moved to Greece. Didn't he leave?
Well, he was in Greece when he came down with, no, he was in Australia when he came down with COVID. But I don't think he was one of those ones that said he was going to flee the country. No, I don't think so. Tom Hanks is known as a good guy.
We should start a GoFundMe to get rid of him. Do you like Tom Hanks?
Yes, I like Tom Hanks.
I'm not a fan.
Well, okay. I liked him, but I'm just, this,
have you ever gone down?
It sickens me.
You ever gone down the Tom Hanks rabbit holes on the internet?
Why don't you remind us?
There's a lot of weird Tom Hanks stuff.
There's a lot of Epstein Island stuff.
Oh yeah,
right,
a lot of stuff.
All allegations, nothing proven.
Nothing proven.
So, but there, I noticed on the super text line when I brought it up the first time when I said, "Oh, I thought Tom Hanks would have known better." Oh my Lord! All of the people were. Don't you know he's
open.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Yep.
So, all I'm saying is that it does make it sad. It is sad that Tom Hanks did that. And here's the other thing, is that they're so clueless because we all know how well Donald Trump did with black voters.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing. It's like, it's like 2016 all over again.
A lie so big, Goebbels would blush.
Yes, yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, have you heard the Kamala word salad?
No.
You haven't heard this? All right,
No.
I'm going to play this again. So here's the setting, is that you've got Kamala at a Broadway show. And she is like in the middle.
Wait, she's in a Broadway show?
She attended a Broadway show.
Oh.
And so she arrives early and she's speaking to the cast. And she is in the middle and she's trying to give them a pep talk. And it sounded like this.
When we think about like these moments where we see things that are being taken, but also let's see it as nature abhors a vacuum. So where there's a vacancy, then let's fill it.
Now the funny thing is that even in headphones, I can't tell exactly what she's saying. She's kind of slurring. But if you watch the video, and I posted it on my X, her hair is kind of askew.
She's hammered.
I don't know. I don't know if she's
drunk?
hammered, but she looks a little off.
Right? And let's know that the reality is that the progress of our nation has always been about the expansion of rights, not the restriction of rights. Mm-hmm. We're seeing a U-turn right now. Mm-hmm. For those rights to be maintained, which means we have to be vigilant, and it's just the nature of it. Mm. I mean, look this beautiful play and everything that we know he ended up, he had to suppress so much.
And I don't know. And people are listening to her. You can hear them go, yeah, that whole thing.
Is she talking about rights? She's talking about abortion? Is that what she's talking about? Rights are being taken away?
Probably.
Or trans surgeries for kids?
Trans surgeries for kids. That's probably what she's talking about. When they start talking about and start screaming about rights are being taken away, to be honest, yeah, the only one that they'd be talking about would be abortion, because there's, and that's all been settled with the Supreme Court. So I don't know what the heck she's talking about. It's like she's too stoned to understand how dumb she sounds.
I love the dramatic music in the background, though, to make it seem like she's doing something important.
He took those risks, but we have to be clear-eyed. And it doesn't mean we don't see the beauty in everything. Mm. Right?
You know what we need? I should have grabbed the sound effect of a bong. I've played that before with Kamala Harris, the sound effect of a bong.
I love the crowd. We should look for beauty.
No self-awareness, no filters, no adjustment, no improvement. People are bagging Kamala Harris online, right? The woman is completely incapable of giving a coherent statement. You'd think she would keep her mouth shut at this point. Other people added. You would think. Although cast member Wes Barnes shared a snippet of the interaction on TikTok and praised the former vice president for being generous with her time. You'll notice he didn't say that she
generous with her time. She's unemployed.
That's what I said earlier. It's like, what else does she have to do? He said, not only did she take the time to inspire us and speak life into us, but she was so gracious with her time as well. What does that mean, speak life into us? I don't even know what that means.
I don't know.
That's a word salad in itself.
It is.
I just like reacting to the comments the same way they reacted to her.
It is fun. It is fun to listen to it, and people are listening to her like she's saying something profound, and clearly she's not.
No.
So
she's a mess.
You see that Sheryl Crow sold her Tesla and donating the money to NPR.
Oh my gosh.
The virtue signaling. And so that is, and again, this is what they do.
She's not the first celebrity, though, that says, I hate driving my Tesla now because it's a big Trump bumper sticker.
So what is she going to drive now? Is she going to drive a gas guzzler?
She should get something diesel.
She should. That's what she should.
She should get a Volkswagen. There's nothing wrong with that brand.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, she... That
was good.
Yeah, it actually was good. One one of the things that she talks about is how you are who you hang out with, right? My parents always said, you are who you hang out with. So, of course, now flooding, talk about Elon Musk and Donald Trump. So flooding the socials now is a picture of her with, is it Diddy? Diddy.
Oh, I'm sure she's got pictures with Weinstein.
That's the two. Now, I don't know if they're real or not, because you know how that works.
Yep.
But.
Well, and also those parties, too. It's like if there's a bunch of celebrities and a photographer running around, they'll say, let me take a picture. You know, you never know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's, by the way, Sheryl Crow, who has been an outspoken critic of the president, slammed efforts to dismantle NPR, which was founded in 1970, receives the majority of its funding from private sponsorships and user contributions. But why not then stop giving federal funds to NPR?
If their selling point is we received the majority from private contributions, then cool, continue.
No problem. Yeah.
Carry on then.
This is what she said. Money donated to NPR, which is under threat by President Musk, in hopes that the truth will continue to find its way to those willing to know the truth, the country artist wrote. You know, it's kind of funny because she's talking about the truth, yet her candidate, Joe Biden, and the Democrats withheld the truth from the American people for 4 years as far as, you know, Biden's ability to stay in office or ability to run the country. That's number one. And number two, what have we found out about Joe Biden and USAID? Is they've been funding journalism, i.e. propaganda, across the world for the last 4 years.
Yeah, it's been insane.
Yeah, so she just has no idea what the heck she's talking about.
I love it when they all go, well, it's privately funded. Okay, so you don't mind losing the money. And it's the same when they go, well, our NGO is going to fail if we lose these government dollars. It's like, well, by definition, then you're not a non-governmental organization.
Listen, I know you've got no plans after you get off the air. So I'm assuming, is it safe to assume that you're going to be going to the Not My President, the Not My President rally out at the state capitol?
If I didn't have to pick up my boys at DBAT in Murfreesboro from their day camp, I would so be there.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a disappointment there, Chris, because I'm sure that they're expecting you.
There's going to be some blue hair.
Do you think that they're...
what do you think the over-under is on percentage of crowd with dyed hair?
80.
I think there's going to be a lot of dyed hair, nose rings, lip rings, the whole thing.
All right, so dyed hair, 65% of the crowd, over or under?
Over, hands down. There's no question.
Along with all of the Birkenstocks, yes.
I see a lot of flannel, a lot of Birkenstocks, and a lot of short blue or purple hair.
Yep,
that's what I see.
I see a lot of crying also. Don't forget the crying.
There may be some crying.
Big event coming up. Joint session of Congress, March 4th. Going to have a nice event.
You excited about that?
I'm very excited about March 4th at the Nashville Palace. You're going to be there, Chris, Chad Benson, Matt Murphy, of course, yours truly as well. And it's going to be a watch party. Nashville. Have you been to the Nashville Palace?
Yeah, we did the Nashville Palace once.
Yeah, it's a great event.
Huge, awesome venue. And then tickets, you get a free buffet with it.
Do you?
Yeah, you get a buffet.
Do we get a free buffet?
I've heard that we have to wait until the end.
You know, at the end with a buffet, there's nothing but like a few crumbs left, cracker crumbs, right?
We'll get some collard greens at the end of the day.
We'll get some stale cheese.
Do I need to pay to get in?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't worry, just give it to me and I'll get you on the list.
Okay, cool.
Man, Chris Hand's list.
I'll call Putin. He'll set up something for me.
I'll set you up.
All right. What's coming up?
All right, today on the show, man, we're gonna go down the Doge rabbit hole. We're gonna talk about President's Day, Donald Trump just with an America Back weekend, Daytona 500, and then the the USA Canada hockey game.
Yes,
did you cover that at all?
I did.
Hockey just overtook everything as America's #1 sport.
Well, you know, they booed our national anthem.
Do you know
they booed the player introduction?
This is not the first time that this happened. They booed our national anthem in Ottawa, and then the next day, the Ottawa Senators were here in Nashville playing the Predators, and I had a call on my program to boo the Canadian national anthem.
Did you really?
Yep. They said there were a smattering.
Okay.
Well, we need to do better. The next Canadian team that's in town playing the Preds, you're on notice.
And then 3 fights in the first 9 seconds.
I love it.
And I don't know who won. How do you tell who wins in a hockey fight? I don't even know.
Usually it's the guy that eats ice.
Okay.
And then the refs have to break it up.
So the ice eater is the one that loses.
Yep.
Okay, very good.
I think we were 2-1.
Were we 2-1?
On the
Okay,
fights,
got it,
yep.
got it. But
Yeah,
we
I
won the
think,
game 3-1.
Yeah,
Yep.
Matthew Kachuk, he kind of ate the ice.
All right, there you go. Come on, Kachuk, you can do better. All right,
Yeah.
very good. All right, 8:57, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Dan Mandis here for Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. And they're keeping you warm this winter with some great deals for listeners to Nashville's Morning News. You can get a free air duct cleaning when you buy a new complete whole home AC. How about a free air duct cleaning package upgrade? You buy the middle package, you are automatically upgraded to the deluxe or a free furnace checkup with any heating repair service. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. You can always become a Beehive member. I've been a Beehive member for over 10 years. And you save money in the long run through maintenance. This is a great company with their more than satisfied promise. Call them to get started, 615-775-7833. This is my HVAC company, 615-775-7833, BusyBeeHVAC.com.